Apparently you are.
Recorded live.
Yes.
Welcome
to something of a podcast.
Yeah, whatever this is.
This is a podcast from Claude and Justin.
Once again, yes.
We
We're
thought
back.
it wouldn't happen.
Yeah,
but it happened.
everyone was saying it's no good.
And we are masters in synchronizing, talking over each other.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. We don't really have to
yeah, you know,
try.
Sorry.
There it is again. So, yeah, what's up?
You know, it's, I don't know.
So I'm going to say a number.
Okay.
And you tell me how you feel about that number.
Okay.
28.
Pensive.
Okay.
That was a weird game. So, I don't know. I fully need to explain myself. Because I'm a little out of touch here with this podcasting thing. It's been a bit of a busy time for your humble hosts. I don't know. I've had a bit more going on lately than usual, and I think that's true for my colleague there.
Yes.
Well.
Yeah. The summer was busy, and now it's fall.
Yeah.
Still busy.
Yeah. I mean, there were plans, and technically still are plans for podcasts of various types and topics. But yeah, weekends are occupied as well, and so there just never seems to be a good time to do them.
It's almost like there's a baby involved.
Yeah.
And we're spending so much time with a baby that we can't podcast.
Is it a baby?
But
is it a baby?
It's not a baby so much. It's just working a lot of overtime.
Sorry.
And
it's not a baby. I thought you might like to, speculate for a minute, but yeah, sorry, it's not a baby.
It's not a baby. No one's had a baby in 3
Lost
months,
Lowdown,
people. No one can have a baby in 3 months.
I can solemnly pledge to the Lost Lowdown right here that this will remain a baby-free podcast.
The baby pledge.
Until,
Has it come to that? Do we have to pledge? We have the pledge of no babies? I think in Latin it's okay, I can't even fake that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you know.
What's no in Latin?
What's no in Latin?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good question.
Negativo babius. I don't know Latin. What's baby? Baby something probably like something to do with like I don't know, nativity or something. What's the root? What's the root for baby? Let's look that up.
I want it to be
or natal, some sort of natal thing, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did a Google search for Latin baby. I got some surprising results.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna not do that.
That is not a search I've ever done. You should. I wonder if Google Translator does Latin.
Well, I found some really old 1993 looking Java bad background website that might do it. Wow, it's really
Did you
bad
see
site.
Google was doing this thing the other day where they had the old version of Google from 2001?
Oh, the word is infantia.
Ah, of course. Yeah, I was
So-
going to say I wanted it to be infant.
Yeah, infant. Yeah, that's another one.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
So Google did what now?
Oh, did you see that It was an anniversary or something, and so they had a link to what the page
No,
was.
I think I was working that day.
And I think it was functional too.
Was it a day of the week? Then I was probably working.
Yeah, it was. Let me think. Yeah, it was a day of the
It
week.
was a day of the week of the one of the 7.
One of the 7. It was.
Then I was probably working.
Okay. All right. So, so I guess you didn't see that. Well, let me tell you then. It was just as I described. And I think you could actually search it, and it had the old database.
I feel like I've seen them do something like that before or something, or oh, here it is. Here I'm on their site now. Oh, their logo was awful.
Yeah, the thing that threw me, and the only reason I brought it up, is the exclamation mark.
Yeah,
I don't remember it being Google exclamation mark.
You know what? The change of font and the exclamation mark is too much. It scares you.
Yeah.
It was surprising to me. So the page is the same.
I thought I used it back then, but I don't remember. I just don't remember Google.
I don't remember that either. But it probably was. We're just so used to.
Yeah. And it seems like a Yahoo ripoff.
Yeah, with the exclamation mark, definitely.
Yeah, the exclamation mark. Yeah, just, I don't know. It didn't seem like you should say the word that way. Like, Yahoo makes sense to, say with an exclamation, but you just can't, Google. I don't know.
Yeah, they wanted to get that across, but
yeah,
I think they lucked out better because Google actually became verbiage.
Yeah, it did.
Whereas Yahoo did not.
Oh. You haven't ever Yahooed anything?
No, I don't really Yahooed anything. I don't do a lot of Yahooing because I couldn't stand to say that word.
Yeah, I was just going to say, that's
be a part of it in any way.
Even if Google were called Yahoo, I don't know if we would use the word the same way.
No, I don't think. I really think it has to do with the word they chose, and it was pretty easy to make verbs into.
Yeah. Yeah, it was perfect. It was a good choice.
Googling. I Googled.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit cumbersome, but not too much.
No.
The is a little much, but
yeah, that part's a little rough. But it's 2 syllables. Yeah. Words could be more painful, like Yahoo, for example.
Zinger of the day. Wow, that was well crafted, my friend. I see you haven't lost your touch.
I guess not. I don't know. Maybe I've been saving that one this whole time.
I can see you have like sheets of paper with notes in front of you. You're shuffling through.
Exactly.
Next joke. All right.
Wait. I have one for this. Hold on. Here it is. Oh, sorry. No.
Monica Lewinsky walks into the Oval Office and says, "Oh, no way, this is the old one."
I only have a joke about 89 bank collapses. So 87 just isn't going to work with my punchline. I'm sorry.
Oh, man. So you don't watch SNL regularly, right?
No, I don't. To say I don't watch it regularly is to suggest that I might watch it at all, which I don't.
It was the alternative. The alternative was, I know you don't watch SNL.
Yeah, you could have said that.
But I was trying to be conversational with
the
podcast
it
format.
It was a good choice. I just had to respond to clarify.
And I wanted to take you behind the scenes into my thought process.
That was a behind the scenes, not a correction.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
But no, I know you don't watch it. But
you're bringing in people who may not know.
Exactly.
That
picture us by the fireplace.
Right.
Roasting something that's you would roast. We're both wearing some sort of maybe pseudo holiday themed sweater vests. There's snow falling in the background outside. Maybe we're in a log cabin for some reason, and we seem out of place. So that's our setting.
Okay.
We're inviting you in to this podcast.
Okay. You're setting the stage for the.
I'm setting the
okay.
stage. That's what our listeners should envision.
That's what you should be envisioning when you hear our voices. Okay. Okay. Sounds good. I'm gonna start doing that from now on.
There it is.
Yeah. And then the way I speak will be, more in line with that kind of setting.
Exactly. See how this goes.
Yeah, yeah.
So we'll forget in like 2 minutes.
I know. I've already moved on.
Yeah, exactly. So SNL has been having the best ratings they've had in basically forever because
really?
They're doing all these political sketches based on yeah.
I have seen the Tinas.
You know what? Homegirl's awesome. I've always loved Tina Fey, but will there be a more perfect person for her to play?
No.
And she does it so well.
No, that's the best possible.
What's so great is how they have, how they, make Palin come across in these very specific, it's all the ways people think about Palin, her winking all the time, their word choices, what I like to call her sentences to nowhere,
Mm-hmm.
and when they do that, the first time I saw her do one of those sentences that we have to go make sure that the big government doesn't, with Putin rearing his ugly head and all those Joe six-packs in here. And, it's all these things that on their own are just fragments from other ideas, and she just throws them
mm-hmm.
together. And she doesn't really say anything,
Yeah.
But yeah, when they do it on SNL, it's so hilarious. So my point was, and to share this with the audience, that it's really, really good stuff. They have great. Fred Armisen does Obama when they do Obama. He's pretty good. It's all been really funny, and it's cool that Tina Fey has been coming back to do this, each and every time. Because it's been the first, I think, 3 or 4 episodes, or maybe 3 episodes of their season. So it's pretty cool.
Mhm. And so are you endorsing also the rest of the show besides?
Now, if you choose to watch further than the first sketch, there was 3 this season. The first one was the swimmer guy, Michael Phelps, the Olympic swimmer.
Oh yeah.
He was really bad.
I bet he was.
The show overall was eh. The second one was the second one Shia LaBeouf?
Oh.
Maybe? Maybe I'm getting confused now. But they've been okay. They really haven't been that great overall. No, the second one, sorry, Shia LaBeouf was last season. The second one was James Franco, which was pretty good. I like James Franco.
Yeah. What's his deal?
He's a weirdo, man, but not in a bad way. I think he's crazy, but he's really good in those dramatic, because they did a couple sketches where he has to play real dramatic part, and he can do that in his sleep.
Yeah.
He's just really good at that, and it was an okay. I give that one a B.
Okay.
The third one was probably my favorite. It was with Anna Faris, who I like a lot.
Oh yeah. Mhm.
Star of Smiley Face.
Smiley.
The little known comedy that could. And the last one was Anne Hathaway. If you're familiar with her work, and it was not very good.
I've heard the name. What's her deal?
She's of her notables. She has The Princess Diaries. Most recently, she was in Get Smart, the remake with Steve Carell.
She was in Princess Diaries?
Yeah.
What was that? I mean, I remember it kind of, but yeah, did she do anything else that I would know?
See, now you're gonna make me go to the IMDb.
I guess I could do that. I somehow I just want from your brain. I don't want the. I want
don't
you to know these things.
I know some other things she's been in. Oh, Devil Wears Prada. That was her big.
Didn't see that either.
Her thing. All right. Well.
Sorry. I mean, it was a good example. I just.
She was in Brokeback Mountain.
Oh.
She was the.
Yeah. That's it.
There you go.
That's it. Yeah. That's it. I knew I'd seen something.
I just had to name a gay movie, and then you got it.
Exactly. Apparently, that's the only movie I've ever seen.
Although I did say Devil Wears Prada, which is at least metrosexual.
Oh, okay. Yeah. 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 I didn't really think about that, but yeah, I was hearing her name a lot for some reason. I don't know. Everyone was tossing it around. Was she up for some award or something? Don't look it up. My
cursor is already over awards as quick as that was.
As soon as I said that, I realized you could just. I just didn't want to open that can of worms.
No, she doesn't look like she was up for anything major.
No? Okay. I don't know. For some reason.
Unless you count the DVD exclusive awards.
Well, I do.
And the character morality and character morality and entertainment awards, which is right up there with the Oscar.
Wow, that's
the
a
Oscar
weird
of
award
Estonia.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, I have at least seen her though.
Yeah, you're familiar with her.
Yeah. Her I don't know.
Her period.
Existence. So how was she on Saturday Night Live?
You know, I don't really know what her background is, but I think she's like a theater actress, and the way she is very theatrical, so they did a lot of singy stuff.
Oh.
And you know, so I don't usually like when SNL does singy stuff, unless it's not some singy stuff. I think when it comes, it's like the stuff that they do on Deep House Dish, where like it's like, you know, this like MTV2 show with these two crazy hosts, and they're talking about they have like electronic pop performers play, and it's just one of the cast members doing some like, you know, 30-second crazy song, you know. Those are usually kind of light because they're just kind of quick laughs. But when they do a whole sketch that is around like them singing, you know, I usually don't like those.
Yeah. Doesn't sound like something I'd want to watch.
But it was okay. It was another okay. The episodes haven't been that great.
Okay, so it doesn't sound like they get your full support, but
no,
you at least
they've been bad and average. I think they haven't been horrible episodes, but they haven't been that great, you know.
Okay.
But I think, you know, when you factor in, you know, the presidential campaign stuff, it's worth watching. So. Yeah,
that's the only thing I've seen. Everybody's talking about it. I haven't seen all of them, but I've seen.
Yeah, you should see. The last one was really, really good. The one where they did the Palin Biden debate.
Oh yeah, I definitely didn't see that.
That one might have been the best one. That's pretty good.
Oh, okay. I'll have to.
Did you watch that debate?
What's that? Yeah, I watched some of it. I watched about like 35 minutes or so.
So you basically saw everything that there was to see.
Yeah. I mean, I watched the first debate beginning to end, and then I started watching that one, and I don't know. They're kind of repeating some of the lines from the previous one.
Yeah.
And it was just, you know, it just felt rehashed, and also she wasn't as entertaining in the part of the debate I watched. She didn't do her like silly stuff in the part I watched. She did it in the, you know, after I turned it off. That's when she pulled out all the fun moments.
That's when she got more whatever nervous and crazy.
Yeah, like all the famous moments I didn't see. I only saw them afterwards, you know, in clip form. You know, the part I watched, she was very boring. Nothing was going on. They were just, you know, blathering on in the fashion they normally do. It got a lot better later.
She is such an interesting person. I really mean that, because, like, as sort of evil as I think she probably is, like, and they just discovered the Alaska Investigation Board just ruled that she did misuse her gubernatorial powers or whatever.
Gubernatorial?
Gubernatorial, sorry, yeah. I don't know why they spell it that way when you put it in that form, but
I blame the Germans.
I do too, and you know what's funny is every time I think of that word, I think of Schwarzenegger. Because that's how he would say it anyway.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's
Good
very
point.
You know, German Austrian, pretty close.
Oh yeah. Very
so
close.
it always,
Very
you know,
close.
he's the
Sometimes
governor
too close.
Hey, in the past, definitely, many times. I think people would agree with that. Sometimes too close. You just analyzed the history.
I did.
Of Central Europe there.
That got a little bit grander than I meant it to be.
Or Western Europe, I guess.
Yeah, technically.
Central West.
It's getting close, yeah. It's Germany's right there on the line.
Yeah.
Once you go past Germany, you're in Eastern Europe.
All
Congratulations.
bets are off.
Yeah.
All bets are off. Well, you know, with Putin rearing his ugly head.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You know, but seriously, okay, so Palin, like, the joke I like to tell people is, you know, if it's clear that the Republican Party wanted to have a female candidate to attract the Hillary voters, like, I don't know anyone who disagrees with that, you know, in terms of, you know, people who are trying to be objective, you know.
Yeah.
You know, that's pretty much the consensus, right?
Yeah, that's what I hear.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, but I always say, like, I think they would have had less problems with their campaign because of their choice if they would have just picked a male and had him have a sex change. I think they would have had an easier time. Because you know, she's a ball of issues, dude. She's like, there was so much crap surrounding her. It's you know, and not only her past and what she's done in the past, but then on top of that, who she is, you know, like how she's presenting herself to the media, like all of these issues, I think would they could have just had a guy do a sex change and they would have just shoved that under the table and then, like, that's it. You know, but it's a joke. I'm kidding. So
I see. Okay. All right.
But it's but she's, you know, Palin's weird because part of me likes her, you know, part of me, like, there's something interesting about her, and even if it's just that, you know, she's just a crazy, insane maniac, as people have said she is, like, it's weird, you know, so I like listening to what she says, you know, even though she doesn't usually say anything, but I just, you know, I think about her, like, having to run the country, and I'm scared.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I just know she's out of her league.
Oh yeah.
You know, she's just totally out of her league.
Completely. Yeah. Yeah. And that's, you know, not as unlikely as it should be. So.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's, you know, and it's kind of I would say, not a side effect, but it's sort of mirrored in the sort of promise of America is that, you know, you don't, you know, that there's many different ways to get to where you want to go, and there, you know what I mean?
Right.
And you don't necessarily need X, Y, Z to get there. This is a country where you can, you know, get there by any means necessary kind of thing. And so that bodes well for her being this sort of maverick, you know, with sort of very, 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 very little experience, but now this close to being the president of the United States,
right?
Only in America, right? You know, this is the sort of negative aspect of that,
right?
Of that American dream or promise, because I mean, and look at Bush too. I mean. Without family connections, without the sort of things that he sort of obviously used to get to where he got, he on his own wouldn't have got there.
Oh yeah.
You know, who he is and what he's capable of as a human being, I don't think is the same, you know. But then I look at like Obama and I think who he is and what he's capable of is literally what got him here.
Yeah.
You know, and that, you know, and I was watching the most recent Bill Maher episode, Real Time, and Alec Baldwin was on there, and he's a scary guy. I like him a lot, but I think, like, if I ever got to know the real Alec Baldwin, I would really not like him. Like, I really think he's kind of a scary, tough guy.
I agree.
Yeah, and I really think, like, you know, he's all fun and he's cool. And I bet, like, even if I really hung out with him for real, like, for a while, he'd be great. But then I'd get the glimpse of the real Alex and, like, be scared shitless.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I think, you know, there are some actors who really don't, you know, you watch them and you don't really know anything about them.
Mm-hmm.
But there are some actors who, you know, and I'm thinking, I actually put Robert Blake in this category, and there's also this famous German actor who has this quality.
Hans von Germany?
Yes. Wow.
Is that him?
You know, it's a very common name in Germany, so
yeah,
it's bound
that's
to come
true.
up. But,
that's true.
No, Klaus Kinski, for those of you who want to know, very close. Yeah, this guy, he was in these Werner Herzog movies, and they're pretty famous. They're good. I recommend them all to you. But
Herzog
anyway,
has a hot dog.
This guy, this is way too long-winded, but I don't know. I started. I'm going to finish it.
All right, keep going.
This guy is great in these movies, but he always plays a borderline insane character. And the performance has an edge to it where you kind of aren't really believing that that this isn't actually part of him, you know, that there isn't some bit of his actual personality there.
There are actors like that where you can peer, they put on the suit of the character very well, but then they allow you to peer deeper and you're like, oh crap.
Yeah.
I would say, you know, Marlon Brando and Apocalypse Now gets like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where it's you're seeing something and you hope it's just the character.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean this actor, their stories, I mean they supposedly actually apparently there were shots fired between this actor and the director on the sets of one of the movies. I mean it was insane, and it comes across. Anyway, Alec Baldwin doesn't play extreme roles like that usually, but in some of the parts I've seen him in, there's this one movie, Malice. Any of you want to watch like a really weird early 90s thriller, you know, there's one for you. It's co-written by Aaron Sorkin, if anybody knows who that is.
Everyone fucking should know who Aaron Sorkin is.
Yeah.
Aaron Sorkin, West Wing, Aaron Sorkin, you know, he created, what was it? I forgot the name of the show. The show I used to like.
Oh,
Sunset on 60 Rock?
30,
Studio 60.
Sorry, yeah. 60 Rock. Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah, Studio 60 exactly, and West Wing and more. You know, writer of many things. He co-wrote that movie, and particularly there's this one speech that Alec Baldwin has in there. They use it in the preview. At least they use part of it, where he plays this doctor, and he has this line where he says, "You think I have a God complex? Well, let me tell you something. I am God."
Yeah, I remember the trailers for that when I was a kid, seeing that, and I remember that scene and that creepy shot of him in the elevator. It's Nicole Kidman also, I believe.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was I don't think I saw all of it. I think I saw part of it once somehow, but it was definitely a crazy movie. I could tell because that line of you think you're God, I am God.
Yeah.
Oops,
yeah.
Checkmate.
I know. That was, oh man, it blew me away. Anyway, that's an Aaron Sorkin speech. I recently found out because I don't know. It stuck out. It's a weird thing. It's a kind of speech that you wouldn't hear in a movie like that ordinarily, because it just goes over the top. Anyway, I think in that speech, also in Glengarry Glen Ross, if anybody's seen that,
which I didn't finish.
I don't know. He has this edge to him. There's I don't get the sense that some of what he displays is completely falsified.
Yeah.
I feel a real something coming out sometimes.
Method actor, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
I
That's
mean,
true.
he should have something coming out if he's doing it right.
Yeah, I forgot about the whole method thing. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. But yeah,
and Marlon Brando too, which is another, maybe the actors who have that are the method ones.
I guess so. Yeah,
the ones
it does
who do
encourage
stuff like
you to
that.
really get in there, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's that makes sense then.
Well, there you go. We just solved that mystery.
But yeah, that's from seeing some of those. Like, I just, I think he's a more controlled than some of these people. But like, yeah, I feel like if he snapped, it would be frightening.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So yeah.
But so he said.
Oh, anyway, back to the topic. Sorry, lengthy digression.
Wow. So we're still good at long tangents.
Apparently.
Wow. So we set that all up to say, what was I going to say about Alec Baldwin? What were we talking about before?
You saw him on Bill Maher.
Yeah.
And he said something, maybe? Is that
it was something to do with what we were talking about before.
Oh, yeah. What were we talking about before? It was about Palin, I think.
About what?
Palin.
Oh, Palin.
Yeah. That was the topic. That's not helping.
Yeah, it's weird because he said a couple things that stick out in my mind, and on topics we didn't talk about. That's all I can remember.
Oh. Maybe we're going to switch topics.
What were we talking about? A movie or not a movie, but something tangential Palin. I don't remember. It vanished.
Damn.
Maybe it'll be back.
Hope so.
But I was saying he was a scary guy. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I
that
got
was
sidetracked by saying
but
that.
it seemed like that was an aside.
Yeah, I forgot what my point was going to be. Oh, it's coming back to me.
Uh-oh.
Because when we were talking about, like, experience, we were saying...
Oh, yeah, the American Dream.
The American Dream, experience.
And, yeah, you can sometimes get there without having the experience.
Yeah.
That's the bad side of it.
Yeah, I feel like that's where I was going to bring something up, and I don't remember now.
Okay.
Anyway.
Well, interrupt later if you remember.
Yeah. I'll interrupt anyway.
Oh, good.
Even if I don't remember.
Please, yeah, just, okay.
Because that's the way it goes. So, yeah, the economy sucks. What else is new?
Yeah, I think that's the only new
or
thing.
recession? We're in some sort of ession.
Yeah.
Not progression.
No, not that.
But we're in some sort of ession or getting close. We're eshing towards an ession.
Yeah.
It's pretty, people are worried about their money being in banks, and I mean, kind of like your average person. Obviously, there's people with, who are really losing money. But I haven't lost any money. I don't have any money in stocks or, mutual markets and money markets and mutual funds and all that. And
mutual markets and money funds.
I really shouldn't have any because I don't know what I'm talking about. So if I did, I probably would have lost it. So
they should have mutual markets. Why not?
Yeah, why not?
What's so bad about mutual markets? That's what I say.
This whole, but people are concerned about putting, they're taking their money out of banks and stuff like that, which, I think is sort of the wrong idea because, that's what people are saying. The big joke is right now is, putting your money under an old mattress, like that's sort of the joke that I've heard going around a lot. We have this list at work, this kind of like email list where people can sell stuff and buy and trade stuff, like old games or movies or whatever they have, or if they're looking for, hey, where's a good Italian place around? Anyway, it's just a kind of a list that goes around. And anyway, somebody put, want to buy old mattress, this was the day that WAMU crashed, that WAMU failed. And so it was just that was the joke, is that now we need to start putting our money into mattresses because it's safer there than in a bank, But yeah, I'm worried. I mean, I don't think we're at that point obviously now, but I did hear, watching CNN or something, the question come up of, what happens if I go to the ATM and no money comes out?
Oh God.
Like, will we get to a point like that? Which will be pretty crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the weird thing about economics is that not just realities, not just events or whatever play a role, but also the to a certain extent the psychology of people, has some kind of role and their psychology can affect what they do, which then, creates this loop thing.
Well, yeah, that's funny you say that because I just heard a bit of on NPR. They were talking to I guess he was a psychologist, and he was talking about the psychological factors that are going on here.
Oh, look at that! Wow.
Because he was saying, this $700 billion bailout was supposed to give people confidence in the system. Hey, the government is going to back this. The government is going to fix this problem. It's free to trade and lend, but it had the opposite effect,
Yeah.
And I didn't catch all of it, but he was talking about the psychological factors going on. And honestly, from what I've heard, it is a lot of I've heard the word confidence used a lot.
Yeah.
It's not that banks can't loan each other money and trade and stuff. It's that they don't have the confidence that it's the right thing to do or that it will, yield anything.
Yeah, it's a weird intangible thing.
Yeah,
that,
it's very intangible.
Having real effects.
And it also seems like if they would just all agree to take a leap of faith and sort of, act normally, it seemed like it would work.
Yeah.
That's the sense I get from hearing people talk about it is they're trying to find something to reignite the system, but it's like if everyone just did what they normally do, which they can because all of this stuff is very, it's just numbers they move around with computers.
Right.
And it's like obviously it has, real world effects at some point, but it's the whole thing is just crazy, It's gonna that was one of the things Alec Baldwin said is that, he lives in New York and he was talking about how he has a lot of friends who are, in the financial world in New York, and as I'm sure he would. And he was saying they've told him that that to get us out of this mess that we're in now will realistically be more like $2 trillion. Like this $700 billion will be like nothing that won't really do anything. Like what it'll really take is like $2 trillion. And when you think about that, like that on top of the $10 trillion we're already, in debt for, and the $10 billion a month we're spending in Iraq, you gotta wonder, at some point, it's gonna have to. The system is gonna have to stop because when a country is that much in debt, it just can't keep operating. You can only borrow and borrow and borrow so much.
Yeah.
Because our credit is kind of bad. The dollar is down. People aren't trading in dollars anymore. So it's pretty dire. You know, it can definitely. I feel like this is the moment where another moment. You know, where it could really be really bad. And America, you know, and plenty of people who are worthy to comment have said that, you know, the area. I think the best version of this I've heard is the era of relative dominance for the United States is over. It's on the decline.
Mhm.
You know, we're not, you know, behind. You know, we're not like, it's not like we're not really number one anymore, but relative dominance is sort of over. And it's, you know, it's pretty accurate, I think.
Mhm.
And I'm, you know, as a citizen, I'm very upset of how this whole thing has gone on. Like that, you know, we as taxpayers have not, well, those of us who pay taxes.
Oh. Glad you added that in.
You know, have really had no say in the matter of, you know, what, you know, it's basically it's just the administration who says, okay, we need this bailout, and then Congress, you know, the original bill that they wrote up for this before it got voted down the first time, the original like bill was like, or whatever, was like 3 pages long.
Mhm.
How do you allocate $700 billion and have the appropriate, you know, I don't know how government works on small levels, but how do you have enough information in 3 pages to do what you need to get to bring us from this catastrophe? Like, tell me that. 3 pages, really?
Mhm.
$700 billion deserves a lot more than 3 pages. And then when they went back and had to redraft it and add stuff so it would get approved.
I don't even want anything on the pages. Just give me more pages.
Just give me. You know what? If you're gonna pass something with $700, I don't want to hear the word pages. I want to hear the word reams.
Oh, okay.
Or boxes.
Let us agree to only speak of paper.
Yeah. If you want to count it in the number of trees processed, that will be fine also.
Okay. All right.
But no, seriously, like, it's such a crazy thing that we have not. I think my point was, you know, that was my point. So it was 3 pages when they first tried to send it through, and then when it got rejected, they redrafted it, and it wound up to be like the final one was like 250 pages. And I'm like, that's a bill. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, and it's like, and I feel like that, and the people who are making these decisions are the same fucking people who are running these companies and started this mess. Like, there's so much corruption, and everyone is saying, Obama included, you know, that there's time to place blame. We need to fix this now, and all of the major people are, you know, the administration and McCain and Obama are sort of all in general behind this thing. And I'm just thinking, like, really, is this what's necessary? Like, I understand you have to act quickly, but to me, it was just a hasty decision that I from listening to other financial experts are saying this isn't going to do anything. It's just like it seems like a waste, you know. And it seems like, why not give that money, and I've heard, you know, people say this, why not give that money to the American people? Give it to the middle class. And I've even heard other people say, why, you know, like Bush did his, you know, stimulus package before. It's not like his administration, you know, he's done that twice, I think. It's not like he's, you know, against giving money directly to people. You know, I think that would be more beneficial. And then people were saying also, why not give that money to state and local banks, so they can start, you know, so they can have capital to sort of build it back up that way, which makes a lot of sense, you know. And it was like there's a lot of options, and to give the money to these privately owned companies, you know, our money. It wasn't like the government had an allocation of money to give them. It was like, okay, this is taxpayer money. We're basically raising taxes by this amount, you know. without the, doing that without the public having any sort of recourse, I thought was pretty bad, in a situation this big.
Yeah. I mean, I think if the government's going to spend money, it's got to be taxpayer money or loans.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
There's not much else for them to do. I think as far as people having some voice in this, I just that's the way our government works, unfortunately. I mean, or fortunately, depending on the situation. In this case, unfortunately, we elect people, and
well, yeah, I mean,
they're the ones who make the decisions.
Exactly. But I feel like there wasn't any time or any real way for these senators and congressmen and representatives to really get an accurate feeling of what their constituents wanted, and obviously they just had to make a choice on whether or not to vote for this thing based on what they thought.
And it's your vote's supposed to be some kind of vote of confidence that they'll make the right decision in those.
I do feel like there should at least be times when I guess there maybe aren't.
I mean, it's considered politically expedient to listen to your constituents because, you want to get reelected, for example.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, there were definitely people who made their votes based on what what they thought their constituents would want them to, and I appreciate that. But it just, to me, it seemed like it just, I don't know, I just felt like there was no sort of, I mean, there was no control there.
The only recourse, under the way things are currently is just to vote, not vote for those people again.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the best you can do, because you just have to live. Once you've elected them, unless they do something illegal or whatever, you pretty much have to live with the decisions they make while they're in office. And then elect someone to change them maybe or fix them somehow. But that's just I mean, pure democracy has its downside too, I think. So I don't necessarily think we should have people voting on everything.
Yeah.
I like certain aspects of this representative thing, but then in situations like this, it can be bad.
This is where I feel like it was a very direct consequence to every American, a very big problem that affects every American. Not just like other legislation that gets passed, and this was a huge deal. Not to put other legislation down. But
very nice of you to think of other legislation's feelings.
Yeah, I don't want to belittle it. There's a lot of good legislation out there. Some of my best friends are good legislation. I know very many of them, and they're all dear friends. Nevertheless, it just sucked to have this decision made, and it wasn't necessarily the right decision, or no consensus was really taken. To see what there wasn't any alternatives to explore. I felt like, and it was clear that the people at the helm were the people who should not be driving the boat. And when the CEOs and the executives of these companies walk away from bankrupting their companies with multi-million-dollar retirement packages, it's ludicrous. And did you hear they kind of didn't really talk about this much. The last week, the government bailed out several automotive companies, like $60 billion to bail them out. I think it was like
that.
Yeah, did you hear about that?
No.
See, they didn't talk about that, but it's like $60 billion went to like Ford and like 2 or 3 other ones. And it's like pretty soon they're probably going to like bail out, the airline industry is probably begging for a bailout at some point.
Who's going to bail them out? where does
Who's going
this
to bail who out?
end? Like,
That's the thing. It doesn't. The problem is the separation between government and the private sector is dollars and cents. You know what I mean? Like, the people at the top of both of those ladders are connected in the pocketbook. You know, so it's like. You know, it should be separate. It should be like, okay, I'm sorry, this is capitalism. Like, that's what I heard on NPR today. They were talking about this, like the fact that, you know, everyone wants to work in capitalism, and so you know, you can get as big as you want, and, you know, yay for competition. But then when these companies start failing, they want it to be like socialist and have the government come and bail them out. And, you know, it's like you can't have both. You know, if you're Ford and you can't, if you're Ford Motors, who, you know, we would not have modern automobiles without, you know, you can't maintain, like, you know, your product, and you can't be current, and you can't make a profit, then that's on you to fail as a company. That is part of, you know, the American system. You know, businesses have to be able to fail. That's part of it. And if you taking away that is, I don't think right to say, okay, well, this company that we choose cannot fail.
Yeah, I mean, the catchphrase is too big to fail, and
yeah.
I guess if a company gets big enough, they can get involved in so many things in such an essential way that if they failed, it actually, you know, could potentially be disastrous, and they put themselves in a position where you sort of have to bail them out or live with the consequences of not bailing them out.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And the reason that they get that big is because of, you know, as they say, no oversight. You know, like no deregulation lets them get big like that, which is the same stuff, you know, McCain was like letting them do and helping them do all this time, even though he's a maverick.
Oh, he's such a maverick.
But
he is just like Tom Cruise in Top Gun.
He's the most maverick ever maverick. And that's and I really maverick that.
Yes, that was a lot, and still I feel not enough of a maverick for that man.
You know, but that's the thing, like, so...
This really makes me wonder, I mean, this is, you know, it just starts making me wonder about economies in general. I mean, there's something strange about them, and, you know, I start thinking it's a miracle they ever work at all. Like... Because it just seems like a bizarre system. I mean, the way it's set up, at least the way I understand that it's set up. You know, people accept that money is worth something.
Yeah.
And, you know, in certain cases they don't accept that, and that's when the money becomes worthless.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you know what I mean? Like, that happens sometimes. The value goes down so much, people have no. And then it just sort of snowballs, and they don't believe it's worth anything, so it isn't worth anything.
Yeah.
And, you know, that can actually happen. I mean, it's just weird that, once again, like, what's in people's minds to a certain extent is having an effect on, you know, what something's worth for real.
Yeah, I mean, if on Monday morning all of the traders on Wall Street went in and bought and sold like it was the beginning of the dot-com era, I feel like that would have a positive effect.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but that's what from listening to what people are saying, that's what I'm hearing between the lines, is that's the kind of effect that they can have. Like, if the world markets believe certain things are strong and act accordingly with their trading, then the system moves along.
They can just sort of pretend it's okay until it really is.
Because and that's part of the problem it is the problem with this whole idea of, you know, what these banks were, you know, and what is it called? The banks and the mortgage companies and stuff were doing. You know, they were buying these mortgages. Yeah, lenders. That's what I was looking for. these lenders were doing was buying these mortgages and buying this bad debt and selling it to each other back and forth and basically making money out of nothing.
Yeah.
And when you do that, at a certain point, you get to the bottom of it and there's nothing there.
Yeah.
And it was, and from what people are saying, it's like they really did not know, what they were doing. They really didn't know the limits, I should say, of what they were doing. They thought, well, we can just keep doing this and doing this and doing this and doing this, and it's going to keep going. And I think they knew it would stop at some point. They just didn't know when.
Yeah.
And then that's why they call it a bubble. The bubble burst. It got bigger and bigger, and you're like, oh yeah, look at this, we can keep doing it and doing it. And then like, oh crap, it just popped.
Mhm.
But that's the thing. It's all predicated on like their greed. In a lot of cases, it was these people who found a way to make money, and a lot of money, and it's just a travesty that these singular people at the head of these institutions and companies were responsible for this. This wasn't like, America as a whole overspent or something, or some, you know what I mean? It was like there's certain people who through their specific actions caused all of this to happen.
Yeah.
Over time, you know what I mean? It's aggregate effect. It wasn't like overnight, but
right.
You know what I mean? And those aren't the people who will be most affected by this.
Yeah, no.
And those aren't the people who are, at this point, having to really take any blame for it,
Mhm.
or much blame at least. So I don't know. I think
now's not the time for blame is something you often hear, and I don't know. I mean, I sort of understand it, but
But here's the thing: here's the thing: if we waited to solve the financial crisis until we figured out who was to blame, we would figure out who was to blame yesterday.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that would be the pressing point. We gotta figure out who's to blame so we can move on. But now that we've moved on, there's not going to be any fire under them to figure that out.
Yeah.
It'll just get bogged down in bureaucracy like it always does. But if it was like, we need to figure this out now, it would get shot up through the chain of command, and whatever action needs to be taken will be taken immediately. And that to me is the biggest point of why we should have waited to figure out who's to blame first, because it would have gotten done quick.
Yeah.
More quick than doing it this way.
Right. Just as a side note, I'm really sick of the Main Street analogy. Someone said that, and it was clever. And a few more people said it, and it was still clever.
Well,
but at this point, it's so tired for me. Like, I get it. It's your way of talking about the common man. Like, I just enough with that.
Yeah.
If you say Wall Street, just resist the urge. Just say Wall Street for me. That's a real place.
Mhm.
That's not an analogy.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, I know. It's gotten. I've heard that so many times from so many different people, and and I don't even. And I got the sense, this is a thing they just came up with. But I have a feeling that they, people have been saying that for a long time.
Yeah.
In other eras.
Yeah.
It's too easy not to, But yeah, it's a thing, and everybody's. If you listen to enough like news and media stuff, like you'll see phrases that everyone kind of uses.
Yeah.
That full-throated support or whatever. Like, have you heard that phrase?
No.
Yeah, like full-throated. Ugh, it sounds so gross to me.
Oh, yeah. Maybe the liking is disgust, but it's interesting. It's catching my attention.
Weird. Yeah, it's like it was.
Full-throated.
They came around with Hillary, I think. I forgot if she said it or someone said it about her, but that was the thing. Like, Hillary didn't give her full-throated support to Obama, and it's just it's a very visceral phrase. But people were saying that, so they do that. People will come up with little things and say it around.
Mhm.
Sarah Palin has her what does she call it? Hockey Mom and Joe Sixpack.
God.
That's what she calls the average Jane and Joe.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah.
So all those hockey moms and Joe Sixpacks out there, like Joe Sixpack, really, like that's the image you want to have of the average American citizen is Joe Sixpack. Really, Sixpack? He drinks so many six-packs, they nickname him Sixpack?
Maybe she means six-pack abs.
Yeah.
All right, I don't believe that.
Oh, my God. And that's the thing, it's one thing if, and Bill Maher's really harsh on her, but I mean, I don't know if I think she's an idiot. I mean, I really don't think she's I don't think she has like a low IQ or that she's stupid or anything. But I do think that she is inexperienced and very naive in a way. You know what I mean? That's what kind of comes across to me. I don't get the real stupid factor, but he harps on that quite a bit. That her personality is one thing, but like I said before, her policies is another. And her husband is a secessionist. Have you heard that?
Yeah, I have.
And and she has been given in the past support to that movement in Alaska, and for people who don't know, there's a movement, there's groups in Alaska who want it to secede from the United States and become an independent country.
And let me just say, I didn't know until I heard this particular member of that group.
Yeah, and so the leader of this group, whose name I can't remember, but he was quoted as saying, very good quote, but he was quoted as saying, the fires of hell are frozen icebergs compared to my hatred for the United States of America. So and he says, he doesn't want to be buried here when he dies, and he says if when Alaska is free from the United States, he wants his body brought back to Alaska, but he will not be buried under American flag and all that stuff. And
wow,
so he definitely dislikes America. And just as an aside,
you could say that, yeah.
I know, understatement of the day. Just as an aside, I'm not surprised there's people in Alaska who want to get away from the United States. It's like any sort of satellite, community to the motherland. With isolation comes this idea that we're different and that they're distant. They're so far from the contiguous United States that I'm not surprised there's people who want to leave. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I had never really thought about that. But to me it's not, and I'm thinking like maybe Hawaii wants to leave, like I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Is it close enough? Does it get enough? Does it feel connected enough? Because that's the whole thing is if a place starts to feel disconnected, then it's gonna feel like it has its own identity.
Yeah.
And Alaska has its own identity. It's the biggest state. It's really, really far away. It's not connected. The seasons are totally different. Like the lifestyle up there is totally different. For most parts of Alaska, and it's a totally different world up there. So I'm kind of not surprised, but nevertheless, Palin is involved in like so much stuff. But you know what? I gotta hand it to her. She is an A-class Republican. You know what I mean? Like she's involved in so many scandals. Like she could make some Republicans blush, dude. Some old school Republicans like, wow, you got more scandals going on than me right now. Because she does, man. She's naughty. I mean, that's the thing. Like she's not really.
She's naughty.
naughty Governor Palin. I mean, she is though. I mean, she's just, and it's funny that I say naughty because I feel like saying shame on you,
Mm-hmm.
and not because she's a woman, but just because she's got that like the kind of personality where she's just, it's like, does she even know better, But yeah, she billed the state for like hotel like costs and stuff like that, claiming she was on travel when she was just staying at her house.
Oh.
For like 300-something days out of one of the years.
Oh, good.
Yeah, you know. And it's just like, it's that kind of thing, the like simple abuse of power that she has showed in her short career as governor, like, is pretty phenomenal. Like, that's what I mean when I call her A-class Republican. You know, it's like, it's not like you can find one or two things that she's done. Like honestly, like, the negative stuff I hear about Obama, like, I haven't heard that much, you know, like, you know, like the number of bills he voted for that his constituent, you know, people who like him or support him will be disappointed in, you know, there's not that many, you know, or at least I haven't heard of them, you know, of like, you know what I mean? Like stuff like that comes out like that, you know what I mean? Like this old, you know, back in 2002 in Chicago, Obama did X, Y, Z. Like there's been a little of that stuff, but nothing really major. But then you look at Palin, who's had, you know, a smaller time, you know, it's weird that there's like this whole Troopergate thing, you know, there's the, there's this ton of stuff about her and what she's been doing, you know. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, like it's.
I don't even know about all of it. I've heard a few things.
Oh man, there's a ton of stuff. You know, when she in the Katie Couric interview, I think, or Charlie Gibson, one of them. You know, they brought up the fact that, you know, when she was mayor of Wasilla.
Wasilla.
Which I did not just make that word up. That's an actual place, folks. When she was mayor of Wasilla, you know, their budget, they were operating, you know, not at a profit, but they didn't have a deficit. But when she left, they were $13 million in the hole. You know, like that doesn't look good when you didn't have fiscal responsibility of a small town in Alaska. Yeah. And you want to be at the helm, you know, of what's going on a national level. Mm-hmm. And, you know, they keep saying this thing, and this makes me really – there's a lot of things they say that makes me upset. And this is up there with and I've heard people repeat that. Like Palin has said this, and I've heard, you know, her supporters, like, you know, pundits and people who support her repeat this, and it's in their head too. It's that Alaska is a microcosm of the rest of the United States. Bullshit. You know, I'm sorry, bullshit. You know, it just really isn't. I'm sorry, it's not a microcosm. The United States is 100 times more diverse as Alaska is. You know, overall, you know, like you no way. You know, and I hate it's just to say that and to really believe that just really irks me.
I have not heard that. It is laughable that people are saying this without any kind of.
I mean, show me a place in Alaska where there's a place like New Orleans, or people like who live in New Orleans, or Colorado, or Hawaii, or you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
To say that is to belittle what it is that we have in America, I think. And when they say that, it's so clear the analogy that they're making, which is, okay, if they're saying Alaska is a microcosm of America, then the logic should follow that if she can run Alaska, she can run America. Yeah. Like, that's what they want you to think, and it's so you can see through that, too. That's the other thing I hate about it, is you can see exactly what they're trying to do with that statement.
Yeah.
You know, man, that burns me up.
I think to the contrary, of course, like you said, that Alaska is actually very unique. It's its own thing. It isn't like any other place in America, really.
No.
So I think it's really as far away from a microcosm. It's only a microcosm of that part of America that is Alaska.
Mhm.
And that's it.
It's a microcosm of itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's a completely different place than you're going to find anywhere else. So that's a very strange idea.
Yeah.
I've never, I'm not watching enough to have caught
When we were in like American geography, the teacher didn't tell you that Alaska is a microcosm of the United States. Like,
not
you know
my
what I
teacher.
mean? You know, it's like that's nothing. No one has ever said that before.
No.
I think that was the first time that sentence was uttered. You know, like that's a rarity. You know, that you can actually construct a sentence that has never been uttered by a human being before.
Yeah, it's a tough
and
one.
I give her credit for that because I don't think anyone has ever thought or said that.
Yeah,
and meant it.
It's definitely calculated. I mean, like you said, if you're her and that's your experience, and you want to somehow suggest that you can manage, being the president or the vice president, you need to somehow connect what you did in Alaska with what you would do as president or vice president. And so, I mean,
yeah, it's like saying, you're applying for a job interview for a telecommunications engineer, but really all your background is that you were a phone operator.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, well, I had to, switch channels and, plug in this and, do that and transfer calls and blah, blah, blah. That's a microcosm of being a telecommunications engineer. Like, okay,
yeah.
But I don't think you can do this job.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is. It's sort of like a bluff.
Yeah. Exactly. Oh my God, it's a bluff. Yeah, and it's like she wants to see if we'll call her bluff.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a total bluff.
Wow. I say it's a microcosm.
Yeah. And now,
what do you got?
Exactly.
What do you got?
What do you got? Next. Yeah, seriously, she's definitely a piece of work, and
yeah, the perception of her is obviously very exaggerated. She is a bit of an exaggerated person, I must say, but she
yeah, right.
I mean,
she's a caricature, I think.
Yeah. I find when she's in debates, I find her sort of charming.
Yeah.
She, there's something disarming about her demeanor. On the other hand, I have seen other things when she's at a rally or there was a clip of her at a church from a few years ago. When she's not speaking to everyone, when she's just speaking to her constituents, she gets a little creepy in those environments.
Really,
I start to see her come out with things that kind of disturb me.
Oh wow.
So yeah, she comes across different for me when she's with what she perceives to be like-minded people.
You know what? I'm not surprised to hear you say that. I've seen a little bit of that stuff, of her like Alaska-centered stuff. The stuff she did back then and up there. And I told myself this the other day. She's probably a little bit racist. I was just thinking, I don't mean that in like a joke way or anything, or to be mean, but but just in a realistic sense, I was just thinking about Alaska and the whole, like, how she's connected to the secessionist party, her husband is, and just from trying to picture her lifestyle and what she's grown up with, and I'm just thinking she's odds are she's probably a little bit racist.
Yeah.
And she feeds into this whole Obama attack stuff,
Yeah.
And but the hardest part about the campaigning and stuff and watching all the debates is it's just the lies, and when they say things that you aren't true, they know it's not true, the opponent knows it's not true, the opponent goes back and says it's not true, and then you keep saying it again, and it's just like you're lying. And it's weird how they hold on to those lies like that, and they're just, like something. I think it was a Biden and Palin in their debates, and and she, they were arguing about whether or not I forgot what the point was, but something that was factual, you could check factually, and she was like, well, tomorrow morning the pundits and whatever will talk about, what's true, what's false, and all the facts and stuff, but you did blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, I totally believe Biden, you know what I mean? And I feel like she's just totally lying. Because one of them has to be right, which means somebody's lying, and it's probably her.
Yeah.
Because I think he knows what he voted on a certain thing, and and why would he lie about that when he knows that's so easily checkable? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But that's the worst part to me is when you watch them and they say these things, and you can see that it's just so deceptive,
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's very political life these days is very calculated. It's the world we live in is a world in which you're constantly being watched, and if you're a public official, of course. We're not quite there yet.
Pretty
for
close.
The average citizen. We're headed there, of course, but not as bad. Anyway, they're in the spotlight more than they used to be, and so they have people and they have advisors, and they very carefully consider what they do, in public, and so I mean it's when they give a response, it's it's well rehearsed.
Yeah, definitely well rehearsed, and a lot of times you can tell. I was reading this article today about body language. I think it was actually on the Huffington Post, and it was actually really interesting because they were saying like McCain's body language is really obvious. You can kind of tell when he's lying. He gets kind of uncomfortable. He makes these weird robotic kind of unnatural movements, and when he's weird. You've seen him talk, and he's weird.
Oh yeah.
He comes across very weird and strange, and there's those times when he's lying, and you can pretty much tell, and that's what they were saying, where they can, with his body language, you can tell, and with Palin, they were like, she's on another level, like the stuff that she does is totally different, and you can't really tell the way she covers up like her body language and like throws you off with like all the winking and like. She does this thing with her voice where it gets really high pitched, and they were talking about the effects of that and like all these things that I'm just like, wow, like, she's got a lot of things going on, and the way she talks, dropping all her G's and, you betcha, golly gee, that whole thing, like what the effect of that is. Like, it was really an interesting article, but it's a fearsome twosome, the McCain-Palin ticket.
It is very fearsome.
And you know what? And the worst part is that there's people, and I mean, it's weird. There's a lot of people who like McCain and Palin, and I honestly think a good percentage of them like them for sort of what I would call the wrong reasons. A lot of people are, I like Palin, she's so energetic and her personality. Okay, yeah, you know what? Personality, throw that out the window, please, because what are her policies? Thank you very much. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But I try to ask myself if, as sort of incomprehensible as it is to me for most people to want to be on that side, I also try to be objective and wonder if I'm not the same for the other side. You know what I mean? Like am I turned a blind ear to anything I hear that's bad about Obama and Biden? You know that kind of thing where it's like I'm buying into it the same way other people are buying into Palin and McCain. Mm-hmm. I wonder that. But then I think, no, I'm not. And good. I move on.
Well, that was easy. Yeah, no, I agree. It's worth being self-critical about that and not just some sort of, I don't know, thoughtfully going along with things just because you're pretty sure they're right somehow.
Mhm.
You know,
like there are people who who actually think Obama is a terrorist.
Yeah.
There are people who actually think that, you know, and I was watching this like YouTube video where this guy was at a McCain-Palin rally asking people, you know, what they thought of Obama and why they didn't like him, things like that, and that was the consensus for most of the people, was that they thought he was a terrorist. And one lady said, just look at the name. You know? And it's really bad, you know, and it's like from a common sense level, you know, I want to say to these people, do you really think that someone who is a terrorist, is an undercover terrorist or whatever you think is going on, could make it to this level of our government without have been caught, without have anything of tangible proof have been brought forth to light about this? But you think you know? But the people whose job it is to know stuff like that, the people who, you know, might be against him when he was in the Senate, or didn't like him, or looking into his background for whatever reason, you know what I mean? Like, I think it would have come up, you know, and for people to, I think, to actually consider that now, like, oh, Joe Sixpack thinks that, you know, Obama's a terrorist, but no one else in government has thought that or said that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No one else whose job it is would be to know that. Or, you know, you don't think that the NSA, the CIA, the FBI have looked into Obama's background when he got on this ticket?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, is that not a fair assumption? That somebody, whether legally or not, or, you know, personal or not, looked into his background? I just think it's so ridiculous to think that.
Not to mention, I mean, you know, a lot of people don't like Obama. So, I mean, there's plenty of people motivated to discover
exactly
things.
People who want to find that stuff, and nothing has come out. And that on top of the fact that, for me,
I mean, what they have is pretty pathetic. I mean, they've tried to throw things at him, but they're just, none of it's very good.
No, none of it has any weight. And here's the thing though, like, if he, the thing that is just the big blocker for me for that whole thing is just the fact that, to me, for him to be like a terrorist with some hidden agenda,
you know, I can't believe we're seriously discussing that. Sorry.
Well, we're not. I mean, I'm not even considering that it's true so much as just I want to talk about how it just can't be true.
Yeah, no, I understand.
You know what I mean?
It's just such an absurd topic to me.
It is absurd.
I just had a moment where I just marveled that we're talking about, you know, the potential next president being a terrorist in disguise.
Yeah, right?
I mean, it's such an insane story.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, I would be, the thing that really would be a shocker to me, you know, is I just don't believe someone could do that or would do that, and with the family involved. You know what I mean? Like, because that would mean he's been lying, or, you know, or the family, is the family in on it? Like, I just don't believe Michelle Obama and these two girls would be a part of that. Like, because that's what you would have to. That would have to be true. Like, they would. Either he has been lying to them this whole time, or they are part of it.
Yeah.
You know, and I just don't even see that. Like, so it's just so astronomically ridiculous. You know, that whole thing is just really ridiculous. But there's people who but hearing these people who don't like Obama, and you ask them why. You know, this was I guess it was a couple weeks ago. This video I saw him. You know, like I said, they were at like a Palin rally or something, and you know, the guy was asking the question, "When's the first time you heard of Sarah Palin?" You know, and you know, some people said like a week ago, some people said like a month ago. That was pretty much, you know, about as long as most people had heard.
Yeah.
And then they said, "When's the first time you heard of Barack Obama?" You know, and most people said, you know, a couple months ago, 6 months ago, a year ago, 2 years ago. You know, varying ranges. And then he goes, "So, and you think you know more about Sarah Palin than you do Barack Obama?" You know, and of course, you know, I'm sure there's some word for this or some, thing, but when someone's caught in a situation where they don't want to admit the truth, the word is not lying, by the way. That's not what I'm trying to say. But you know what I mean? Like they're sort of backed into a corner where they lie based on the situation that they're in, whereas, in a different situation they would probably just say, yeah, you're right. I probably know more about Obama than I do Palin. But they have to lie because they're on camera. You know what I mean? That thing.
Okay.
I feel like there's some sort of response bias to statistics, psychology word that fits that phenomenon. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the whole thing. It's like, and it could be true. It could be, yeah, you think you know more about her than Obama. But one lady was like, yeah, she's like, I've seen more interviews and stuff of Palin, and this was when Palin had, I think, done one interview.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's just like, it's it's not. Her facts aren't true. You know what I mean? There hasn't been more. There's been way more Obama stuff. But it's just, my point is that people, there's this thing, people just they go for some people go for who they like, and they just don't look any deeper to find out like what the issues are, and they're just like, nope, this is my candidate because she's not a terrorist. Like, all right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I've seen plenty of people who are pro-Obama, and I really do think that it's that his election would be really, really huge for the country as a whole in terms of its progressive movement in terms of history, world, and I mean it's a huge thing, but there's still a lot of people who would be uncomfortable with that, with having a black president who has Muslim ties or whatever, whatever people want to say, and I feel sorry for those people because he's gonna win.
Yeah, I know, or at least I hope I know. Yeah, I think this, having him running, having him be even doing well, there's certain people that, they could go about their lives and not really think about, these certain views that they have most of the time. It wouldn't really affect them in their day-to-day life, but when they're looking at a presidential race and they're looking at, this person, it brings out these feelings that aren't necessarily being expressed all the time in ordinary circumstances. And so, yeah, I mean, this isn't exactly scientific, but I've noticed quite a bit of bathroom stall graffiti regarding Obama.
I would guess negative.
Yeah, on the negative side of things.
Yeah.
It usually gets marked out or commented on, but yeah, quite a bit, and it's I don't know, it's kind of I don't know, it's frustrating. It's disturbing. There's people around you, and it's actually not, certainly not here, socially acceptable to come out and say those things, but they're thinking them, and they're wanting to express them somehow. They're wanting to get these ideas out there, and the bathroom stall is one place where you can go and write something down anonymously that other people will read.
Yeah.
And I do. I always find myself looking at those things. So. Yeah,
that's the thing, and that's I feel like it's like, to me, any sort of progression or progressive movement or anything like that, it's like, almost, it's sort of akin to, natural selection in nature or, evolution. It's like there's ebb and flow of ideas and ideologies, with a group of people, and certain things become dominant and some things become recessive, and at a certain point those recessive things either grow and get bigger or they die off, and the the recessive idea now is you know the racist idea.
Yeah.
And this is the next big push to make that fucking die. Because you know that's what's best for the country overall and the world overall is like seriously in 2,000 years, you know, in 500 years, and what X amount of time in the future, do we really want to be having these same arguments about skin color and geography and where you're from and your ethnic, you know what I mean? Like, do we really want to have those things still be relevant in terms of, you know, keeping us from, you know, doing, you know, things, and you know what I mean? It's like at a certain point I would hope that everyone would think that or want that to happen. You know, even someone who's like, I mean, I guess if you're really, really racist, the best you could hope for is all the people who, I mean, I guess that's the whole thing is, yeah, that's the thing. Racist people don't even really get to weigh in on this question because they're invalid, you know, because they wouldn't want a world where everyone could get along because that's just not what they want.
No, I mean, I guess they would probably want their preferred race to prevail.
It's kind of my point is for you even to get to that point, for you and me to like, or for the average person, for most people to hope for a future like that, you know, is to assume that racist people just don't exist.
Yeah.
You know, or they're, you know, such a minority that they're negligible.
Right.
And, you know, and I think most people would agree that would be the best thing, you know. And we're obviously making progress towards that. Yeah.
And I think it has worked to a large degree, and I think, you know, this sort of, you know, step forward it has a backlash that goes with it, and I think that's what it is. But you know, it's not as strong as it's been in the past. It's relegated to bathroom walls and anonymous internet postings and stuff like that.
Yeah, because it's definitely dying down, and I think this is trying to, you know, put the lid over the fire there, I think, and you know, put it out, because this is like, okay, you can live in your small town community or live in your wherever place, and you know, think the things that racist people think, or you know, or just be sort of closed-minded in general about certain things. But when your president is the person, you know, of a race you don't like, you're going to have to deal with that.
Yeah.
You can't sort of just, I mean, you know, because that's the whole thing. I mean, you obviously will see less and less sort of that idea in more urban area, you know, more areas where there's more people.
Right.
You know, versus areas where people can sort of
live in their own world.
Live in their own world and have ideas and things just sort of be stagnant.
Yeah.
You know, and Bill Maher brought up this, you know, several times. His show, like, I really like his show. And the last several episodes, almost every episode has at least one or two things where he makes, like, really, 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 like, incredible points. And one of the points he made that I'm probably going to butcher is just that the whole thing that, you know, McCain and his party have been, you know, trying to paint Obama as this sort of, you know, extreme liberal, which they, you know, they use liberal as a pejorative, you know, and
right.
people take it that way, which is strange to me. You know, call him a liberal and an elitist, you know, but Bill Maher brought up the fact that, you know, our founding fathers were liberal elitists. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? They were the upper crust. You know what I mean? Like, they weren't Joe Sixpack.
Right.
They were not Joe Sixpack and hockey moms. They were East Coast liberals, you know, progressives, you know. And it's like, these are the people who created this country, and it's like, these are the people who you know, that you know, the racist people and people like that have these ties to, America, 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 but it's like you're you know, and it's just weird to paint Obama like that when he exemplifies the very thing that made America America. Like, and his whole background, his whole story does too. You know, I mean, I think I've said this before, but like, it surprises me. His whole story is very, very, you know, to me surprising, because it's like, I don't think you could have written a better story. You know, how he was brought up, you know, how he lived, you know, overseas, like, you know, just sort of self-made, you know. He's gone through things that most people in the country have gone through, you know, and have experienced a lot of different things that, you know, a lot of different types of people have experienced. You know, it's not like George Bush, growing up rich, growing up with your dad being president, you know, going to Ivy League schools, never having to really want or need for anything, being, you know what I mean? Like, his experiences, Obama's experiences are closer to, I think, a lot of people's experiences. And yeah, I don't know. There's something.
Are you saying Obama's a Joe Sixpack?
Obama, you know what? That's the thing. Obama is a Joe Sixpack, but he's also, you know, he's a Bradley.
Joseph Sixpackius.
He's a Bradley Martini. I don't know. You know, that's the thing. He runs the gamut, I think, for a lot of things. And that's the other thing that I hate, is that people want to shun away from smart people. Like, somehow, if you're smart, and Bill Maher talked about this too, like, if you're smart, somehow that intimidates people, and they look at that as a negative. Like, because obviously Obama comes across as you know, a very smart guy.
Yeah.
You know, but people use that against him because, oh, it's elitist. Because if people think how smart he must be, it sort of reflects on how not smart they are. Which, you know what I mean?
I guess so.
And that's why, and I feel like it's connected to that thing of, like they say with President Bush, Americans say someone they want to have a beer with. You know.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, fuck that. I don't want someone I want to have a beer with. You know, those are my friends.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want the president to be my friend. I want him to be the president. You know what I mean? I want him to be better and have more knowledge than me and like have tons of skills that I do not possess. You know what I mean? And the only person who shouldn't really want that is, you know, someone else who was president. You know?
Right.
A good president, that is. And yeah, it's just weird to me how you can demonize intellectualism.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? When it should be the other way around. It should be like, you're not smart, you're not fit for this job, and everyone should be like, yeah, that's right. Not like, you know, you're really smart. Oh my God, no, I don't want you as president.
Right. Yeah, that really doesn't make any sense, but somehow it works.
Yeah, it's because people, I think it's some sort of insecurity in people. I mean, I'm sure there's someone out there who's figured this out and written essays and theses on it, but there's something with about people that obviously it's connected to their choices, but you know what I mean? It's like there's something there that makes people want to do that and want to choose personality over policy, you know, or ability.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
When most of them know it's not the personality that's going to get the job done.
Right.
You know, like Palin can wink all she wants to. That's not going to stop North Korea from, you know, launching nuclear weapons.
It won't?
No, wink, wink, wink. You betcha it won't.
Yeah, yeah, I know. I mean, personality has a role to play, but it's definitely not the most important thing.
Yeah, and it's like you think you're ready to deal with Vladimir Putin?
Hey.
You think you're ready to deal with Kim Jong-il? You think you're ready to deal with all of these like notorious world leaders who are like fucking like, I mean, I can't even describe. I don't think I even fathom some of these guys. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
what it would be like to have to deal with them, really. And the amount of responsibility it is to You know.
Well, you know, luckily, from what I understand, the McCain campaign is not going to talk to anybody.
Oh,
so,
there you go.
So that'll make it a lot
easier. Solve that. Well, then she can do the job. She won't have to talk to anyone.
Yeah. They never have to meet with any world leaders.
You know, I hate to be an Obama fanboy. I really, really do. And just to say, you know, when Obama first, you know, when the election stuff first started happening a couple of years ago, I was a Kucinich supporter. I really wished he could have made it. He didn't. I was weary of Obama because, again, you know, for the same reasons people were in the beginning. You know, and I wasn't won over in the beginning. I'm like, he's gonna have to win me over, and I have to say he has won me over. From reading what his policies are, and just my point that I was bringing up is how he approaches things, and you know, the whole idea of fighting 21st century problems and needing 21st century solutions, I think is very apt and is very necessary, and like the idea of you know, another Cold War, which McCain says we wouldn't have, but that idea alone of let's use this, like, you know, teenager tactic of not talking to them, you know, like that'll make them do what they want us to do, but it hasn't, you know. I think just yesterday I heard on NPR that North Korea did some more test flights, and like and has somewhat kicked out the inspectors. Like, not, I think the report was they're not banned 100%, but they're just restricted from access from certain areas now, which is not good. And it's like serious, man, you know. And it's just so bad to think that we could have a president who says, well, let's not talk to them. Yeah. Let's wait until they, you know, give in to our demands, which they never will, because that's the whole point. You know, Iran did the same thing North Korea did. It's like, oh, you're not going to talk to us? We'll just do what we were going to do anyway.
Right.
You know? I mean, it's like, it's like a teenager, you know, being pissed off at the parents, and it's just like, you know, fine, you're going to ground me? Well, I was going to be in my room all weekend anyway.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, that happened to me a few times. I got sent to my room, and it was kind of weird. It's like, okay, I guess this is punishment, but I was going to come in here and watch TV anyway, so.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, it's that, but you got in trouble for watching too much TV.
Right.
It's like, fine, go to your room. Okay, I want to watch TV in my room anyway.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, you get what you want anyway, and like,
yeah.
And it just fuels the fire. It's like, now I'm really going to watch TV because they made me come watch TV.
Right. And by watch TV, you mean build a nuclear arsenal.
Exactly. Yeah. Well,
just to make that analogy explicit. It's a good one. I want to hear that one more. Everybody go out there to your local media outlet and substitute watch too much TV for the nuclear arsenal.
Yeah.
That's what I want to hear. Thank
you. You know, and I've actually heard, you know, the whole war is predicated on, you know, capturing bin Laden, which did not happen. You know, we're in Iraq now. We're fighting the brunt of the war in Iraq, which is not where bin Laden is. Afghanistan is like falling apart. Bin Laden is presumed to be either in Afghanistan, or I think the consensus now is that he's in Pakistan, in the hills and caves of Pakistan. But this news correspondent, she's like an international, like, some sort of correspondent. I forgot. She did something, but anyway, she was knowledgeable on the situation. But she lives in the Middle East, and she was saying that her sources tell her that bin Laden is not in a cave. He's in a villa, in like I don't think she said France, but she said some country. No, I think in Pakistan maybe. But you know, he's not like living in a hole. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And that whole thing of, you know, 9/11, you know, they hit our economic center. They hit the symbol of America's economy, and that's what they brought down. You know, and that to me is, you know, it's one thing to say should we have gone to war, but it's another thing to like not realize that all we did was feed into what they wanted us to. You know, like every dollar we spend on this war is a dollar that means they just won. You know, like, and it's kind of obvious. And like I forgot who said it. Someone in that world or in that I don't know if it was an Al-Qaeda person or someone like several years ago said like that basically what you do for a country like America to bring them down is you bring down their economy.
Right.
You know? And it's like, well, okay, look where we are. Are we really winning the war?
Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
are we really winning
no.
when like, you know, $10 billion a month, are we winning, guys? Seriously? We are?
Well,
The surge worked, huh?
the surge
What?
worked. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, the surge worked all right.
The only thing is, you know, Iraq isn't the only problem. Even if the surge were the most perfect solution ever,
Yeah.
that's just not enough.
Iraq is so not the problem, yeah. But you know, I gotta say, it surprises me when I hear Obama say he would kill Bin Laden.
Mhm.
And he said, I've heard him say that twice specifically.
Yeah, me too.
And
Very insistent on that. And he has a prepared thing he says about it.
Yeah, exactly.
If they find him and the Pakistan government is unable
or
unwilling
yeah,
to take him out, then, you know,
we should pull the trigger.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's like I'm just wondering, where is the justice? Where is the like, okay, criminal war trial, you know, like hearings? Where is the sort of thing I would expect to happen?
That doesn't count when you're talking about these.
I don't know if that's what it is. Does it not count because of what he's, you know, accused for, or does it not count because he does not sort of tie to any, you know, recognized government? I don't understand why the idea of his being put on trial has not really been sort of said. Not that I'm like yay for his trial, but I would like more answers about his connection to it and what was going on, and I would hope that they would try to get that. You know, unless everyone just thinks the story is kaput, I feel like there's, you know, if he, you know, I mean, I shouldn't probably say if, but, you know, if he was the mastermind, you know, I feel like there's more information we could get before we pull the trigger.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
presumably.
I believe he's connected to enough other things that even if he had nothing to do with 9/11, he'd still
that's definitely true. That's definitely true.
You know, worth getting, worth apprehending at least. But it is odd that seems to be the way it goes with. I don't know. I guess I'm gonna say, you know, enemies of America or something. If you're gonna take a sort of militant stance against America, you may not get a trial. You may just get killed.
Yeah, it just seems really. I mean, I don't even understand why, you know, why not a trial just for, you know, old time's sake. You know, and being obviously sentenced to death, obviously the harshest sentence possible.
Yeah, Saddam got a trial.
Saddam definitely got a trial.
It was a bullshit trial from what I understand, but it was a trial technically.
Yeah, I mean, Saddam was also, you know, sort of put into power by us. But, you know, and I don't know if that has anything to do with it. But it's
yeah, but of course he was killed in the end, so you know, it came to the same thing. But
did they actually kill him?
Yeah, they hung him.
Oh, I didn't. You know, I don't even think I heard that part.
Did you miss that? Yeah.
I kind of guess I thought he was still in Guantanamo. Is that where he was? No, not Guantanamo.
No, they never took him to Guantanamo.
What's the other one? Where was he? I forgot where he was.
I mean, I'm pretty sure he stayed there, in Iraq.
No, he was somewhere else.
Really?
Yeah, he was in one of the big terrorist prisons, I thought.
Really? Oh.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure. I don't think he was in Iraq.
I thought he stayed in Iraq, and I thought that's where the trial was.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
I mean, I really, I technically don't know. That's just, I was under that impression.
I can't even. Where's the Wikipedia entry? I'm on this like ancient Google website. And
you need to get out of ancient Google.
I'm trying. It won't let me get out of ancient Google.
Oh no.
Jeez. All right. Oh, misspelled it. Okay. Yeah, I gotta figure out where he was now. But anyway, it surprised me when I first heard Obama just say kill like that, and not even, just to placate and say, capture or kill. Just as a, just to say it,
Yeah, I sense calculation there. I mean, I think in that case, I mean, he might judge that to be the correct thing to do, but also I think it's an opportunity for him to show that, that he can be a decisive and strong military leader.
I totally agree with that. I totally agree. And that's how it comes across as like, okay, well, I'm Obama, Mr. Nice Guy, but I will kill the people who deserve it, and I think that's appropriate for a president.
For anyone who maybe sort of likes him, on many issues, but maybe worried about his ability to lead a military. I think that's, especially compared to John McCain, who has explicit military experience, and I think no one worries whether John McCain is going to have what it takes to attack a country or some individual or something like that. I mean, I have no doubt in my mind he's able to do that.
I think people worry if he has what it takes to not attack.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, compared to him, Obama, can look weak maybe, and that kind of statement pulls him out of that. But I agree. I would like to hear. I mean, I believe Bin Laden's a bad person who should be punished somehow. But yeah, I mean, I think we got to establish it. I mean, I think that's really the only good way to do things. If we're just going to say this person's bad and we can kill him, I think that's a bad road to go down.
Mhm.
Because if we're allowed to do that, at what point can we be sure? I mean, maybe they're right about Bin Laden, but if they're allowed to do this, it could go in bad directions. I think. So yeah, it makes me somewhat nervous, but well, I don't know. I feel like they're not going to get Bin Laden. Oh, I feel pretty confident they won't get him in the next few years, and I'm almost willing to put like 20-1 odds they never get the guy.
I feel like honestly, if we had a president who really, really wanted to go after him, we could get him. And I feel like if Obama's really serious, I think we could get him. Because I think, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if call it confidence in military, whatever, or intelligence or whatever. I feel like we could track him down if we really wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
And really flush him out and get him if we really wanted to. The world's only so small.
That's true.
And knowing to a great deal of certainty which areas of which countries he's probably in, I feel like we really could get him.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's the thing, though. Will we? I don't know. Maybe children for years and years from now will tell ghost stories of Osama bin Laden, of the evil terrorist who crippled America, and you got to put $100 under your pillow every night for him, or else he'll come and blow up your house or something.
Mhm.
You know, and of course then $100 will be like a nickel is now, so.
Mhm.
Because the dollar won't be worth anything.
Right. Glad you added that little detail.
Yeah, I just had to clarify.
It's a nice touch. Staying vaguely on topic, but moving in a different direction. I just wanted to throw out there from watching the two presidential debates contrasted with the vice presidential debate. I only watched parts, but I watched enough to get the general idea. The vice presidential debate I thought was actually pretty friendly. They seem to connect to each other pretty well, look at each other a lot, and they seem to have a good rapport going. I mean, it didn't feel ugly.
Well, I think McCain really dislikes Obama. I think he and I don't want to say it's a racial thing at all. I just think he just doesn't like him for a lot of reasons. And I think that comes across when he won't even look at him on stage.
Yeah, it's very striking the body language when they have to be around each other. And of course, particularly from McCain's end, I mean, Obama just kind of does his best to muddle through it. He doesn't seem necessarily to be as off-put by John McCain as John McCain is by him.
Yeah, I mean, Obama's a pretty cool cat, and I think I've seen people have that reaction is that, especially in the last debate when McCain was just like teetering around stage the whole time, and when Obama was talking, and when McCain was talking, Obama would just go sit in his chair, but McCain was like, fluttering about and just like, it was just, if you watch him, he's just being really sort of erratic.
Yeah.
And but yeah, Obama stays pretty cool and collected most of the time, and and when he does get sort of impassioned, it's about the issues or about his beliefs or something, and it's not like an attack.
Yeah. But yeah, it does seem clear that McCain doesn't like him, and and it was just so different from the vice presidential debate.
I think part of it was Palin. She was I felt bad for her. I mean I'm like, damn, if I was her having to be in front of millions of people defending, on this platform and going against Joe Biden, and this is the, vice president, you know what I mean? Like, that's huge. And I thought she did a good job, considering, considering how bad I thought she was going to do, I guess.
Yeah, but almost everyone that I heard comment on the debate said something like that. I mean, expectations were just about as low as they could get, and she did well enough that she surpassed them by a lot.
Yeah.
So, and I agree. I mean, my expectations might not have been as low as everyone else's, but even I was not quite impressed, but at least I thought she was competent. I mean, she managed herself in a debate format. I don't think she's competent to be president, but she's competent to debate in a vice presidential debate.
You betcha.
I'll give her that. At least in terms of not looking like she doesn't belong there. So then there's the other thing I was going to say is I'll give it to McCain on the debates that his criticisms of Obama were all pretty much about his policies. The way he voted on things. And
they just weren't necessarily accurate.
Well, yeah, perhaps he was wrong in some of those assertions. Nonetheless, that was the character of the attacks, not some personal thing or some things apparently they've been doing not in the debates.
Well, but a lot of it too. I mean, not just policy, but attack. His lack of experience, or the first debate was all about how Obama didn't get it.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, he just doesn't. You don't get it.
He's naive.
And it was very denigrating. It wasn't just you voted this. It was more skewed than that. But it's pretty ridiculous. I don't know how John McCain can call himself a reformer, you know, call himself a maverick. And, you know, if I hear one, you know what, you said you hated hearing, what was the phrase? Main Street, Wall Street.
The Wall Street Main Street thing.
I hate hearing reaching across the aisle.
Oh yeah.
If someone says, you know, reach across the aisle one more time, I'm going to kaplots. Like seriously, we get it. We get the analogy. Just shut the fuck up about reaching across the aisle. But yeah, that's the thing. He talks about that, you know, and it's like, when did bipartisanship like become like a primary factor in this like presidential election? I don't care how bipartisan you are. That's the least of my concerns. I care like what you're gonna do with this country. You know what I mean? It's just weird to me that that's a big thing, and I don't get why. Yeah, you know, it seems like it's not normally a big deal. You know, but McCain is touting it like you know, that's what makes him a maverick. So I guess that's why it's a big deal. But yeah, it's weird to me because to me that's as important as that is to, you know, and it's a great quality and it's great if you have that experience and that's your record. But to me, it means very little because just because you haven't reached across the aisle doesn't necessarily mean you know, I'm not going to like your policies or that you can't, you know, end the war or that you can't X, Y, Z. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just because someone has found the opportunity to reach across the aisle doesn't mean their policies are good. Doesn't mean they have the necessary skill. You know what I mean? It's like that's great, but the people you reached across the aisle with, you know, you guys could have put together some, you know, pork, as they call it, on some bill. You know what I mean? Like, you guys could have done something I wouldn't agree with when you were reaching across the aisle. So just because you reached across the aisle doesn't mean, you know, that's some intrinsically good thing. Or I should say, you know, means that your policies and everything is, you know, is sound. Because, you know, for McCain, I don't think they are.
Yeah.
You know,
I think he's aiming for moderates and for undecided people, and I think he's trying to illustrate to people who aren't quite ready to commit to the Republicans that, you know, he won't just side with them. He's you know, he'll go along with the Democrats when they're right, you know.
Yeah.
You can rest easy that he's not afraid to agree with them if he thinks they're right. You know, I feel like that's the message, but yeah, I mean,
but yeah, and I get that, and that's definitely valid and definitely important. But to me, the next question is like, or the next thing is like, well, just because you would do that doesn't mean you will do that, and it doesn't mean like that doesn't have much bearing when you're president. You know what I mean? Like. I mean, not much bearing, but I mean, it's not the same situation as when you're in the Senate or when you're in Congress. You know what I mean? Unless, you know, you have a co-president who's the other party or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because the decisions he's making is sort of singularly in that position.
Right.
You can't reach across the aisle when you're the president. There's no aisle. You're at the top of the fucking building.
Right. That reminds me of this commercial I saw, this McCain commercial I saw where he had this woman and she held up her, you know, Hillary for President sign. She said, "I was a Hillary Democrat," or something like that. And then she tosses away that sign to reveal another sign that says McCain, and she's like, "But I'm voting for McCain because, you know, he's good." And then at the end, she says something like, "I think a lot of Democrats are going to be voting for McCain."
Oh, yeah. See, that's the kind of thing where.
And then she said, "It's okay," and sort of like winks or something like that. It was a weird commercial.
Their ads, seriously, their ads are like they're typical political ads, but it's almost like they're so typical and cliche that I don't even believe they're serious.
Yeah.
Like, there's this ad, there's this, like, picture that they have, like a little poster that you'll see on the internet sometimes. It's McCain and Palin on it, and it says, "The Maverick Team." And I'm like, really? The Maverick Team? Like, you're selling them as the Maverick Team? Like, really? Like, that sounds like, it looked like an ad for, like, your local news anchors.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm just like, really? The Maverick team? Like, that's what you guys got, huh?
Yeah,
The Maverick
apparently.
team.
The
All
Maverick
right.
team.
I'm gonna
Don't
vote
you want
for
the
them.
Maverick team?
A true Maverick would not say that they're Mavericks this much. A true Maverick does not have to repeat that they're Mavericks. I'm sorry. It's just true. If you're a Maverick, you probably don't even want people to say you're a Maverick. And if people started believing you're a Maverick, you would shun that. Because Mavericks are Mavericks, not because, it's like, I'm not, if you're doing it to be a Maverick, you're not a Maverick.
Yeah.
And if you're like, I'm a Maverick, so I'm going to do these things. No. You do those things because you don't give a damn, because you're a Maverick.
From what I understand, from what I've heard people say, he was some kind of Maverick at some stage in his career.
No, and I definitely buy that. But what I'm saying is, I'll buy that he earned that name. But my point is, now I think it's definitely tired and useless and not exactly appropriate for him.
Yeah.
And I think it's definitely not appropriate for her. And that's where I draw the line.
Her,
where it's just like,
okay.
It's just like, you can't be calling yourself. Well, why are you a Maverick, lady?
I'm a Maverick too. Why not? Yeah.
And just because he was a Maverick, like, back in the day, like, he's clearly a different person now.
Yeah, I know. But he still wants to sell that. He still wants that to be a
And I feel bad that that's the best he's got.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I mean, he's in a weird position. He's in certain situations he does okay, but he really doesn't strike me as being a very good public politician. I mean, he seems to struggle when he has to sort of speak in public and try to be convincing about an issue, try to really present his case in a way that connects to people. I mean, he just fails to do that. It's hard to fire people up to elect you when you just can't you can't inspire them at all.
Yeah, that's the thing. He really can't inspire people, and he's, I mean, there's people who really like him. I was watching CNN today, and I saw it was a group of undecided voters. They were African American Republicans, and which seems like an oxymoron sometimes, but there are, and these guys are talking how they really liked McCain, and I'm just thinking, you really think, like, the policies that McCain has, giving, $400 billion tax cut to Exxon, giving the things he wants to do, that he won't deny, has not denied that he wants to do these things. Anytime Obama and Biden has brought these up, there's been no denial, because you can't deny because that's what your plan is.
Yeah.
You really think, that's okay? It baffles me sometimes that people can if you're rich and you're sort of in that I get McCain demographic, then I can sort of maybe well-off Republican, I can see how you would side with McCain and his policies maybe, but I think there's a lot of people who, for me, I'm just really surprised when they're they like McCain or Mitt Romney or something.
That guy.
When I feel like when I feel like someone who wants to protect the middle class has more of their interests at heart. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Overall, Yeah, it's really weird. I did remember that thing about Alec Baldwin I wanted to mention.
Oh, shit. Awesome.
It was that he said that he didn't think that Obama ever thought he would be where he is right now.
Mm-hmm.
As close as he is. And he said, other people had, but he, amongst his friends or something, he was saying, other people had that consensus too. But I kind of always thought that Obama, sure, he's, there's a surprise or a sort of appreciation of the reality of the situation. But I always kind of felt that he was the kind of person who knew he would get to somewhere like this, and that's the reason he's gotten here, sort of a thing. Mm-hmm. I felt like he's a really ambitious person, and usually ambitious people, they might not be able to predict where they're going to go, but they know they're going to go somewhere, and they're not going to stop till they get there, and they have a clear goal. I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I don't think he could really know he was going to be president, or know that he even, could get this close to being president. But
I feel like
he definitely was shooting for a career in politics, and he definitely wanted to advance,
Yeah, but I feel like
he could.
I feel like he knew that he should try. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like, I'm just going to sort of get in politics, and if I'm governor, that'd be cool, or if I'm senator, that'd be cool, and that's what I want to be as a governor. I feel like his ambitions were higher than that. But I don't know. I mean, I just, the alternative to me is that he was just sort of in politics and very ambitious or whatever, but he was sort of thrust into this more than he wanted to be, and then took it on. But I don't really see that being the case either.
Mhm.
I don't think it just fell into his lap.
Yeah, no.
Unlike some people.
No. He No, he made a conscious decision to try to enter presidential politics. Definitely. Yeah.
And I just feel like he's the
kind
of person who
he
wouldn't have tried to make a go at it if he didn't think it was possible.
Oh yeah. No, I agree. Yeah. But a lot of people enter presidential politics, relatively speaking. And so, I mean, he didn't I don't think he really just was sure he was going to win or get this close. I mean, but I think he definitely wanted to, and he certainly thought it was a possibility, or he wouldn't have bothered.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think a lot of things.
Yeah, you do.
True. I was just gonna say some more about Obama, but I feel like I'm just being a fanboy.
Oh. Yeah. Well, that's whatever.
Because he inspires me so much.
I see. Well, it's hard not to be a fanboy, I guess. In that circumstance.
That's fine.
Yeah, I guess I'm
not that he's perfect. I will be one of the first to say, obviously he's not perfect.
Yeah.
Which is,
yeah,
be expected.
I like Obama. There's certain areas where I wish he would do other things, or say other things, or think other things. But he's really, as far as a mainstream presidential candidate. I mean, I really can't ask for much more. So.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, did you know Nader was running?
Yeah. I heard that.
I didn't even know until I saw him on Bill Maher's show, and I'm like, he's running on the what party? It's not the Green Party. It's the American Independence Party, or something, some other party, and I'm like, wow, Nader, another time, huh?
Why not?
Man, you're going against Obama, really, huh?
Yeah,
you didn't win against those other people who weren't half as interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, Obama actually appeals to people who like Nader, at least some of them.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Gore and Kerry did not.
Ugh.
So.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah,
so
Nader. I mean, if you talk to him, he says that. Well, he criticizes Obama, and he says, look, I think I have a better plan, or what have you, and so he feels like it. And I do think, I do wish that that the two parties weren't really the only ones. The Democratic Party really is just not nearly as good as I'd like it to be. To me, I dislike it enough that I don't really wish to ally myself with it. But I mean, then the Republicans come in and it's like, well, okay, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
I just have to choose. But I do wish, like in other countries where they have at least a third one and maybe even a fourth one. I mean, I do wish there were other viewpoints. It wasn't such a dichotomy between the two. And I do wish, Nader could be part of the campaign. Legitimate part.
Yeah, I mean, he says he should have been at the debate, and I think, he probably should have been at the debate. And I don't, it's the whole, political system on every level is really pretty screwed up. I was talking to a friend of mine earlier just, about, what they're talking about voting, voting on the 4th and how, it's supposed to be unprecedented numbers and how there might not be enough ballots and all the corruption and deception that goes on and the voting booths and, like, all this stuff. And it's just, like, the very first step of the basis of our government, which is, a citizen voting, that single layer is already fraught.
I'm thinking you're going fraught here.
I'm going fraught.
Okay.
Fraught with, greed and corruption and malice, to bring that one back.
Oh, okay. Good. Good word.
Mendacity even.
Oh, nice.
Just that one little step is already muddled. So it's no surprise that everything else that's built off of that, all of the, elected officials and the sort of structure of government built off of that simple idea, no wonder that they're all, rotted too. So it's I forgot what my point was, though.
I thought that was a point, but
there was a point. I was going to say something, that was sort of a tangent from what we were talking about before with McCain. I forgot what we were talking about before.
Oh.
It happened again.
Okay. Well,
I had a feeling I'd lose it, but I was like, I'll just finish my statement.
That's all right. You got somewhere.
Yeah.
You just didn't quite get to the original destination.
Yeah, it was something.
Yeah. It'll do.
But
yeah, I can only, as usual, I mean, I hate being in that position, but I can only hope that Nader doesn't,
Nader, that's what we're talking about. Yeah, I figured you'd get it back on the track. Yeah, Nader.
Oh, wow.
That he should have been at the, I was saying, he should have been at the election, and I'm sorry, at the
debate.
Debate, sorry. It just made me think about, just the fact of who gets chosen to be at the debates is already an issue, you know what I mean? And so that made me think of the voting thing. But, I don't know. I mean, I feel like Americans today seem to have a hard time with just the two parties. I wonder what they would do with 3 or 4. I feel like, people would skew all over the place, and I would love to see that. I would love to see how people would vote, but, I would love to see how nuanced will these positions and policies get, because, a lot of the major issues are sort of, do you want this or that?
Mm-hmm.
And either that's just how it is, or, and if you had 4 parties, you just have, maybe 3 out of 4 or 2 out of 4, or, having the same ideas on most of the issues, but varying on other issues. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure there would be overlap, but I wonder how much would be, distinguishable from having these other leaders up there.
Well, I think, even if you just have yes and no issues, you can have, if there are like 10 of them, you have, what is it, 2 to the 10th power different answers. So, that's a lot. You can, just by answering differently, those questions, those yes/no questions. I mean, there aren't 2 ways to answer a bunch of yes/no questions.
But I'm saying for the American people making their choice, they only have 2. They only have yes or no. They're either going to agree with it or not. And so, on issue A, the four parties, are either going to be for that or against that, and so that's kind of limiting to,
if it's a single issue, but then you would want to look at more, and the more issues you look at, the more possibilities of different different
that's the
positions
thing.
there are.
But there's true, but I feel like that's the thing. Could you? I'm trying to.
And I do think there are issues where it's not a yes/no, where there are sort of three answers or four answers or something.
A lot of times it just comes down to, do you want this thing or not? I mean, that's usually a lot of what it comes down to. But I wonder just. Yeah, I don't know. I would be interested to see how that would work, and but I feel like if Americans can't decide between the two systems we have now, there's people who are still undecided, who still can't really make up their mind, who still are sort of lost on the issues. What would another party or two really do? Would that help
things.
people? Would it help people make their decisions? Because it's like, okay, now I know who I like because there's this third guy who has the extra combinations of issues that I really want, that I'm for, versus the other two that had mix and match kind of things I liked. That might happen, but it seems like it would complicate things and make people even more confused and wash the whole thing out a little bit more, it would dilute it more. I feel like But yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
It would dilute things, but there are places where it seems to work, and I think, for example, Ron Paul, I think he offered a position that was definitely a third position that a decent amount of people liked. And it's kind of, some things he would agree with Democrats about, and some things he would agree with Republicans about, and you kind of put them together, and you get something distinct, and so that's the kind of thing that could sort of enter the political world, and he got a fair amount of support. Wasn't enough to win, of course, but it that's the thing. In order to get real support, you're going to have the right combinations of things of your policies that people can get behind. And if you're, it's almost like you're. Because a lot of issues go together. A lot of people who are pro gun control are probably anti-immigration. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of those things go together, so it's like... you mean anti-gun control? Or, I'm sorry, what did you say?
Yeah, anti-gun control, yes. That's
okay.
Yeah, that's what I meant. You know what I mean? So a lot of those go together, so it's like, okay, you might be, you might be for, and B, you might be against, but if for most people those two things are related, then you're going to lose out anyway. Well, he wants to take away my guns, but he wants to put up a wall.
Right.
Which do I have? But then there'll be people who, there'll obviously be people who will be fine with that. So.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of how many.
If there's like 85 people running, like at a certain point, it gets ridiculous and just over the top. But I guess I think you just got to let it happen, and maybe it turns into certain people just kind of dominating the landscape. But I guess I kind of want it to be a little more open. I want someone else to have a chance to get in there, even if they usually don't make it or something. I don't want them to be shut out just because of the conventions.
I feel like for us to have a third party for a major third party for presidential runnings, I feel like they're just gonna have to be more independent and more other parties in lower levels of government first.
Yeah.
Which is I think the challenge. When there's a governor that's independent, I think that'll be a big step.
Yeah. Well, there has been.
Oh, really?
Jesse Ventura.
Oh, that's right.
In Minnesota.
That's right. Oh, I think that was a big step.
Yeah. Yeah. It was,
but like that didn't go well though. That was a weird one.
Yeah, it was a weird one.
Because I think he said he regretted it and like he would never do it again, and it was weird.
Yeah. I think Joe Lieberman left and ran as independent and won.
What is Lieberman's deal? Is he a Republican? Like what? I got confused with him.
He was a Democrat. He ran, and you may remember him from such elections as.
You may remember him losing in 2000.
The famous debacle of 2000, as Al Gore's running mate. But since then he's left the Democratic Party and he's actually run as an independent and won.
Mm-hmm.
He was popular in his district or whatever it is, and so he won on name. It didn't matter if he disassociated himself from parties.
Yeah.
So it's a different case because he was a part of a party and he just left, and then people already knew him, and so But nonetheless, he technically won as an independent.
Oh, Joe Sixpack.
Yeah.
Joe Sixpack Lieberman.
Right. Of course. That's
what they called him back in the college days.
Yeah. Must have been.
Yeah, it's
So there are a few, but I agree. It's that would be the place to start if you had a serious presence at local and state levels. That would
because you got to have money.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to be able to buy the ad time. You got to be able to.
It does come down to that at some point. Yeah.
I mean, I wish there was some way of I feel like. That there should be some system in place to where when there is a third party that I don't know what the qualifications would be, but I feel like there should it would be great if there was some sort of allocation of funds for that person, to say, okay, you can't possibly raise as much money to compete on the national scale as these other two candidates can, so here is the help to do that because we want to make a fair system or have the system be as fair as possible. But who would ever vote for that? Who would ever write that legislation?
Yeah.
And it's just like, so if that, and that's the thing, it's like if that third party can't get enough money to get elected, then they will never get elected. How do you ever get that far? Without some big major change happening where everyone's just like, fuck these two parties.
Mhm. Right. Yeah. Which has happened before, but it's been a while.
Yeah.
We used to have to do
well,
with
I think
wigs.
that's the fucking phrase. That's the phrase of the month, man. Because a lot of things we're going through now have happened before, but it's been a while.
Yeah.
Depression.
Right.
Housing collapse.
Mhm.
Stock market crash.
Right.
It's a lot of things.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird to live through that. So yeah, maybe that's maybe the Whigs will make a triumphant return.
The Whigs are gonna come back, man, and the Tories.
And the Tories, nice.
Yeah.
This time
you can't get
we're
away
not
from the
fucking
Tories.
around. Yeah. But politics was different in the old days, and so it's pretty firmly entrenched now. So yeah, it's going to take something pretty drastic. To change that. I don't know. I guess I want it to be possible. It does bother me. I mean, being a Democrat or Republican constrains you to a certain extent. We're only going to get.
I think it is possible. It's just not probable yet.
Yeah.
I think it could happen. It just, it'd be very hard to.
Mhm.
And I really think it's going to take, people eroding away their sort of reluctances. Because I mean, well, I don't know. I kind of have the sense. Well, and this is because of Nader. He's obviously. I mean, what is he considered? A libertarian or what's his?
No,
what's his?
He's oh God, I don't know what the word for him is. I don't think he's a libertarian though. Because
I don't think so either.
Because I think he favors the government getting involved in things. I mean, to a certain extent. In a benevolent way, but that's anti-libertarian.
Yeah.
But I don't know what the word is for him.
That's the thing. It's people say they don't want government interfering and doing things, but then when shit happens, they do want the government to interfere. It's like you saw it on Wall Street, which is reflected on Main Street.
Oh, Jesus.
That's for you.
Thank you.
I was just trying to reach across the aisle there.
Oh, good.
That
shows that you're going to be a great president.
Thank you. That's all it takes. That and a wink.
Ding, ding. Yeah, that's the sound it makes.
Yeah, it's I feel like my personal view is the government should be there to sort of do some things that people either can't do for themselves or states can't do for themselves. You know what I mean? And there's plenty of things like that. I mean, no one says that the government shouldn't regulate, roads and highways, and maintain them, no, stay out of that. We want to, I don't know, do it ourselves. You know what I mean? There's tons of things that the government should be in our lives to do. I'm always confused on where, sort of Republicans or libertarians or whatever will want to draw the line, because everyone would agree the government is necessary to a certain level.
Yeah, to bring up Ron Paul again, I think he's on the extreme end of the libertarian things. He wanted to shut down almost everything the government does. He was going to shut down the IRS, the Federal Reserve, the FBI.
Shut it down. Like, how do you?
Yeah, just
like what was his proposal for collecting taxes?
He was going to take away income tax. I think I don't think he wanted taxes, but I guess he would have to have some. It would be minimal, and it would be based on something. Maybe it was like a sales tax or something.
Based on fairy dust and magical elves that made money from nothing.
Yeah. He wanted all those government agencies, every government program. I mean, the government for him was going to be simply for really very basic functions of society. It wasn't going to do much more than propose laws and arbitrate and keep infrastructure alive.
It's so crazy.
I think he would have it do little else, and he would have it.
I wonder what his proposal was for actually. Who was going to shoulder the responsibility for the things the government's doing now? Like, states were going to do it on their own? I mean, some of the services the government provide that you sort of can't shut down, or I think you shouldn't shut down. There's like a lot of things. So it's like someone's going to have to fill in the gap. Yeah,
I mean, I guess it depends on what you're referring to, but a lot of things he would somehow want private companies to do it.
That sounds awesome.
I think that would be his preference. Like, yeah, he wants sort of the purist capitalism, where the market just makes everything perfect.
Oh yeah, because that works.
Yeah. As we all know, it
turned out that works.
Yeah, no, I mean he really was a radical. I mean, he was calling for things that I really have never heard anyone call for.
Yeah, it's just that's the thing. It's weird to me because the thing, having the government be responsible for certain services means that, those that they're at least accountable to a certain extent and theoretically by the citizens to do those things. But private companies wouldn't be. You know what I mean? And it's like you can't. If a private company was in charge of Medicare, and you're having a problem, there's only so high up you can go.
Yeah.
Before, I'm sorry, this is a private company. We can do whatever the fuck we want.
Mm-hmm.
We have no responsibility to you other than you're our customer. Whereas the government, it goes obviously deeper than that, where you have sort of rights, of the government not to screw you over.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm like, I just don't see private companies, intrinsically having people's best interest, because that's not what companies typically do.
Right.
They're usually in it for the profit, and and if it's better for them to move all their jobs overseas, then they're going to do that, and they're not going to necessarily care that puts people out of work and hurts the economy, and and that's what's weird is a lot of people say that like private companies should be doing these things, but we see private companies doing things, like the pharmaceutical industry, like how much corruption there is there, and it's like, okay, well, here's an example of a private company, doing something very vital, private industry, but it's run rampant and it's not working. So why should we do that for other things?
Mhm.
I guess I haven't really heard any examples of private companies that perform some sort of service that the government could be doing, but a private company is doing it and they're doing it well. I guess maybe like AT&T or something, maybe, that's very connected to the government anyway, but, they're still a private company.
Yeah, there's a certain amount of this. I think there are private prisons. There's private military companies who do various military operations. You've probably heard about some of these in the news.
Yeah, those great humanitarians.
And it wasn't about how good of a job they're doing.
Oh shit.
Sorry. There's some of this has happened, and if you want pure capitalism, you want that, and you think somehow, even though the companies don't have, altruism, even though they're motivated by profit, the forces of the market will make them be altruistic because it'll be better for them to do that somehow. Like I think that's how it's supposed to work.
Yeah, but that doesn't work.
I know. Well, that's just a little catch in the in the brilliant
plan. It sounds like
plan.
communism. It's like it should work, but in practice, it just doesn't.
Yeah, that's exactly. Somehow it doesn't seem. Although what everyone says, who's a real purist, is that we don't have real capitalism here because there are constraints, there are regulations, the government does do things, and so the market isn't free to sort of act the way it should, and so they say because we have all these rules, we really can't have the perfect thing that I know would happen if we just removed all these barriers. So that's supposed to be the idea. Like no one's willing to go far enough to make the market the perfect market that it would be.
Yeah.
It does seem that that's true. It does seem that no one's really tried it, but I don't know. People haven't tried it because it seems scary.
Yeah, it's like the examples of, if companies under a system that's not perfect capitalism can get as big as they are now, what would happen? I would be scared to see that. Yeah,
me too.
Because basically, that with no oversight from the government, that means they can just do whatever they want.
More or less, yeah. Yeah, as long as they're not breaking laws or whatever.
But and that's the thing, they do break laws.
Yeah.
And they still aren't held accountable. So,
right. Yeah, in theory they're accountable.
Yeah.
For breaking laws. And by breaking laws, I guess I don't mean I don't mean regulatory laws. I mean like ordinary criminal laws.
Yeah.
Because if there are regulatory laws, then that's no good. We got to remove those.
Yeah. It's crazy,
Yeah, it's totally crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. All I can hope is that the money under my mattress stays safe.
Yay. Yeah. Well, I guess so.
So where are you moving to if McCain gets elected?
Unfortunately, I think I'm going to have to stick it out here at least for a while. But if I can ever move anywhere, I'll probably move to I don't know. Where is it good these days? I guess I'll have to look and see.
I heard Dubai is pretty hopping.
Oh, did you? I don't know about that.
Dubai has a lot going on right now. If you want to get on that action.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, no.
That may not be the place for me.
Honestly, I mean, it would have to be more than just him getting elected to make me move. It would have to really be some serious policy and regime change that I really didn't like. It'd have to be pretty bad.
Yeah, I mean, I sat through Bush for the last 8 years. Yeah. I can't.
I don't think McCain is worse than Bush, but I feel like since we're already so in the red overall, as a country, just in terms of like everything Bush has done, I feel like whatever McCain would do would make us go further. Like if we were sort of, at a balance point, if we didn't have 8 years of Bush, I'd feel less bad about McCain. I'd feel like, okay, he might do some things I don't like, or a lot of things I don't like, but he's not going to take us that far down. But we're already so far down that it wouldn't even take that much for McCain to really just really, I don't even know what else could happen, but
right.
That's my thing. It's like it wouldn't really take much at this point.
Yeah. Okay. He doesn't even have to be that bad.
Yeah. He doesn't even have to be that bad.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. I don't know. I'm a little bit too invested. I can't quite just up and leave at this point. But it's could potentially be worth considering. We'll see how bad it gets.
Hey, you know what? If McCain gets elected, he's going to give you a $5,000 tax credit, which will allow you to go to any insurance provider you want to get the insurance that you need and that you desire.
Wow,
that's what John McCain is going to do for you. Yes.
I love that.
What McCain won't do for you is tell you that the average family pays $12,000 for their health care insurance.
What?
And so the last debate with McCain and Obama, like this is when I kind of knew McCain was just really out of touch. Like he started by lambasting Obama. He said under Obama's tax plan, employers will be fined if they do not provide health benefits for their employees, and that and he said that, and you think, that doesn't sound good, right? Nobody wants to be fined, huh? And then Obama explains his position and basically says, no, I'm sorry. So that's what he says, right? And then McCain says, he says Obama would fine an employer if they didn't provide health benefits for their employees, and he painted this as a really bad thing. And then he says, of course employers want to provide health benefits for their employees. He literally said, who wouldn't want to do that? Who wouldn't do that? So under McCain's plan, he would not force. Like he basically gives, like basically the employers get like they get a tax deduction, I think, for something like for the value of what they would need to give to their employees for benefits, but it wouldn't, they wouldn't necessarily, under his plan, they wouldn't have to do that. So basically he's relying on employers to be benevolent and to have their employees' best interests, which a lot of them would, but also a lot of them wouldn't. If you were a business owner and, and for a variety of reasons had this extra, tax deduction or income or whatever, and you could say, okay, I can keep it, or I can put it back to my business, or I can, use it for whatever, maybe even very legitimate things for the, necessary for the business, over giving your employee benefits. There would be a lot of people who would do that, and then you would have all these people without benefits, Mm-hmm. And but the fact that he said, of course, every employer would do that, and every employer wants to do that, it's just. To me, it just shows he's out of touch. Like he just comes across as very out of touch because, there are plenty of employers who would not do that, who would not give a shit about their employees having health benefits.
Oh, yeah.
Plenty of big companies, too.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing. It's like all of his policies are crafted towards helping big businesses, Like it's just so weird, It's like he makes it seem, Then Obama explains, well, that's the whole point is that under Obama's tax plan, employers are going to be, like everyone has to, it's set up for where everyone can have health care. And if you don't provide it, you're going against the system. Therefore, you're going to be fined for it. Like, that makes sense. That is the extra incentive for those who wouldn't already do it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go ahead and do it, which they're getting the money for anyway, basically, or getting the, the tax difference anyway, everything's fine. You won't be fined for it. And, like, the other thing McCain wants to do is to not have regulation. He wants to, to basically have this let you choose what state you want your health care in. So if you find a health care plan in Nevada, that you want, you can go get your health insurance from there. But as Obama points out, which I would definitely agree with, what the insurance companies are going to do is all set up shops in a state with really lax laws. And he made the analogy to banks and then credit companies who set up in Delaware because the credit laws in Delaware are really, really lax. And and if you look at your credit card statements, I know mine, I've seen Delaware on a lot of them. Mm-hmm. Those companies are in Delaware. And so that's the thing. It's like, you see what would be crafted there, just in theory of, okay, under McCain's plan, you can go, it seems like a good thing. Oh, okay, I can go to whatever state I want and get the best deal, which, seems good. It seems like that'd be good for competition. But there is going to be, there could be a bad side to it too.
Yeah.
Which is that, okay, now when you have these health plans, you're not going to get, it's not going to be the sort of thing you want.
Right.
And it's like, who's going to benefit from that? Well, the insurance companies.
Yeah.
Which is weird to me. It's so, insurance companies are a strange creature because they're designed to insure. It's like your function is to protect me. That's why you exist. But they operate to, like, protect themselves and keep as much money for themselves as they can, most of them. It's really counterintuitive.
Yeah.
It's like a guard dog that, like, attacks you.
Right.
It's like, what? Like, you don't know what to say because it's so incredulous. It's like, I'm paying you money to insure in case something happens, and when this thing happens, come on, dude, like, that's the whole point. You should pay up.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they don't want to.
I know they don't want to because it's not in their best interest to do that.
Yeah.
That's the whole problem with that.
The fewer times they have to pay, the more money they have. So.
That's the thing. It's like that. That to me is my problem. It's like that's the only consequence is the more money they have.
Yeah.
It's not like the fewer claims they have to pay, the better their service is, or like the better their coverage is, or like the anything better for the consumer. You know what I mean? It's like the fewer claims they have to pay, the more money they get to have, and that's, unless I'm missing something, it's just pretty much it.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. I mean, yeah, yeah, that part's frustrating, and there doesn't seem to be much of a way around that. I mean, that seems to plague every insurance company. In various situations, but the medical branch seems to be particularly bad. Especially because it's often dealing with these conditions that can be it's debilitating or life-threatening or what have you, and and then they're in the position of determining whether you're going to get treatment or not, and it just gets really particularly nasty in those situations. But even for car insurance or something, I mean, my own experience with car insurance companies is they're, fantastically unhelpful when things happen.
Oh yeah.
That they you better. If you have something happen, you better be prepared to become your own private investigator, and you better interview people and build a case and take pictures and present some kind of legal brief to them.
Wow.
Or they're just not going to believe you because the other person is probably not going to agree with your story. They're going to say what they're going to say, and the insurance company's just going to say, well, it's nobody's fault. We don't have to pay. Thank you. Come again. That's it.
That's the thing. That's what gets me, and that's why I wouldn't want private companies ruling the country because, what I hate is when as customers, with banks or insurance companies, we better make that payment on time, or else all hell breaks loose. We get charged fees, or we get whatever. We better do this, and that's the thing. It's like we have to adhere to the rules that they set up, right?
Yeah.
But they don't have to adhere to the rules they set up.
Yeah.
That's the fundamental problem. It's like and that's what another thing that makes me sick about this whole bank bailout is, a lot of these fucking banks are the same ones that I'm like, if the taxpayers are going to end up paying $1 trillion for bailing out these banks that did bad. It wasn't like, oops, we made a mistake. It was like, yeah, we knew what we were doing. We just didn't know how bad it could be. You know what I mean? It was malicious and it was greedy. And it's like I shouldn't be charged another goddamn bank fee ever at Washington Mutual. You know what I mean? Don't charge me another fee ever because I just basically gave you $2,200 of my own money without me even having a choice in saying so. You know what I mean? Because that's what the $700 billion means. $2,200 for every man, woman, and child in America is how much it's going to cost. That's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot.
And so that's the thing. It's like not only do we get screwed over as customers, but now we have to bail them out, and we don't see any positive recourse from that. I don't think my experience banking or buying a house or doing any of that related stuff is going to be any better. No sort. You know what I mean? It just seems like an empty, a check with no strings attached. But I think that check should have had a lot of strings attached.
Yeah. Yeah.
It'd be different if, people generally liked their insurance companies and people generally liked working with banks and, my bank never really charges me fees or my bank is really generous and fair or my insurance company, man, when I have a claim, they're always there for me. It'd be different if that was sort of the case, and then this happened, and we'd be like, it would be less, distasteful, or I should say, more palpable. No, more palatable. That's the word.
Okay.
To have to do this, if these companies had our best interests, or even gave what I would call true quality customer service. That's your phrase. I mean, you know what I mean? It's just like, because they don't. I mean, you can't even. There's just so many issues with dealing with companies. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I hate doing it. I only do it because I have to.
Mhm.
I mean, what choice do you have? You have to. But yeah, I mean, I do the least I can. And I often get screwed over just because I just don't want to deal with it.
Oh yeah, totally. It reminds me of when you go to get some food, fast food place or something, and they hand me my food, and I always say thanks.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times they say you're welcome. And I'm just like, no, I should say you're welcome because you should be thanking me.
Mm-hmm.
I just, paid money at your establishment. It's like I'm sort of thanking you out of, sort of, social courtesy. But it's like it's weird that there's no bigger sense of customer service.
Mhm.
So that's my rant.
Yeah. Well, they're giving something to you, so you should be thankful.
Well, I should be but it's like, yeah, but I gave something to them, and they wouldn't be able to give me what I gave them. Or sorry, they wouldn't be able to give me what they gave me if I didn't give them what I'm giving them.
But you weren't going to give them what you gave them unless they had what they were going to give to you.
I could have went somewhere else and gave someone else what I had to give them and got something else, maybe just as good as what they gave me.
Yeah, I know. I get it. It makes sense. I don't really know why I'm trying to argue in their favor. It's not going to work. But I haven't had that happen, but I did realize that I always say thank you when I buy things at various places also, and and I guess I'm just being nice, but
it's like you're being nice, but I wouldn't what I want, and honestly a lot of times I say thank you because I want them to say thank you, and I just hate when they don't, like they say, oh, you're welcome. It's like, no, bitch, the other way around. You should be thanking me for buying this.
Mm-hmm.
Your business would not be here without customers. You should be thanking your customers. Your customers should not have to thank you, for providing the service that they're paying you to provide.
Yeah.
Unless you're Apple, no.
Yeah, it makes sense. The customers are thinking out of courtesy, and the business side of things is thanking the customer for the business.
Mhm.
So that's that's the primary thing that needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
And then the other one is just common courtesy. Never really occurred to me where the balance of power was there. I guess it always seemed even to me.
Yeah, I mean, it really shouldn't be, though. I mean, that but that's the thing. They hand you your change, and and you're kind of saying thank you for the change too. Sometimes I feel like I am. Like thank you. Just you're getting your money back. There's a reason to say thank you, but I always I'm aware a lot of the times of when they don't say thank you first. And then I'll say thank you or something like that, and I'll get a you're welcome or whatever. And then of course there's times when they'll say thanks back or something like that. But But I feel like that old axiom, I think that's the right word to use.
I hope so.
The customer is always right. Did I use that word right? I think I did.
It works.
It's just I haven't really seen that true. When was that true? Was that in like the last 100 years?
I don't remember. Yeah, it was definitely before my time, if ever.
I don't. Yeah, I heard people say that, and I never actually saw that in practice.
No, it's not practiced very many places.
Yeah, because I mean, the customer is seldom right, from what I.
Oh yeah. No.
Actually, the customers are wrong a lot of the time.
Most of the time.
Yeah, it's pretty insane what you have to go through, and it's like, wait, aren't I the customer? And then to bring that back home, you look at that, you think about your dealings with private companies, and I think you have to ask yourself if you want them running the country.
Mhm.
If you can't, cancel your AOL subscription without a hassle, how are you going to, talk to your, privately owned like insurance company or whatever, who has no sort of regulation?
Mhm.
AOL
Insurance.
Yeah, AOL Time Warner Insurance.
Enjoy.
You think they wouldn't provide health insurance if they think they can make money from it? I think they would.
Does AOL still exist?
People still use that.
Why don't they go out of business? I feel like
because they sell millions of copies every year.
Really, people are still buying that.
There's people, every now and then I'll see people with an AOL email address, and I'm like, really? Wow. Okay. Seriously, AOL? Really? Huh?
Yeah. I mean, I'm out of touch. I have no idea what the market research is. I just feel like that should be dying out. I just feel like it should be declining in popularity.
Well, it should have, it outlasted Prodigy and CompuServe.
I suppose
those all got melded into other things. Prodigy basically became like Prodigy Internet, and then that just became Prodigy became like AT&T, didn't it? Or someone bought them, Yahoo, or someone bought them at some point, and it was like something. It was like Prodigy with some other brand that was related, and then it was just like that brand.
Mhm.
Yeah, it just it kind of just got eaten up. But yeah, it's weird. I think AOL is still going strong. AOL serves a certain function. I think there's people who like that sort of portal, to the web, and it has its own sort of communities and features and stuff that maybe people love it. And I think a lot of people who use it probably use it because they're just used to using it. But yeah, it's something that you could have expected to be done by now.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of thought it was. I don't know. I just don't expect it to. I expect it to dwindle, down to nothing. But I guess I'm just not around a lot of people who use the internet in that fashion. So I just
You know who can't use a computer?
Who?
John McCain.
Oh, yeah.
That's my other thing. Is I don't want a president who can't send email. If you can't use the device that 90% of the world uses or something, or some huge percent, the world runs on computers, and you can't. You have to have your wife send emails for you. Really, John McCain? Really? I don't know.
Yeah.
It seems like the kind of thing that, and I mean, that's the thing is, I don't have a problem with someone his age, having that issue. I think it's obvious, it's pretty clear, it's a generation thing, obviously. And you know, there's plenty of people his age who are very tech savvy, and there's plenty of people who aren't. But it's just more about what my president is capable of. You know.
Mhm.
So that's our political podcast. Stay
That
tuned.
what that was?
Stay tuned to the Claude and Justin Religious Podcast.
Oh yeah, it'll be a great one.
Yeah, I think it's approaching my my bedtime here.
Yeah. All right. Probably mine too.
Yeah.
Well,
Maverick.
You know, guys.
I was about to say Maverick again.
Sure, why not? I don't know. We'll return sometime. And
well, we're the Maverick team, so there's no guessing when we will return because we're so Mavericks. So we just might Maverick. If you Maverick, we'll be Maverick. Yeah. We'll be back. Lost is on in some time.
Yeah. When Lost is on, we'll definitely be back. But yeah, in the meantime, entertain yourselves. I'll give you a topic. Let's see. What do we have?
How about politics?
Okay, politics. Go.
Here's the topic. Who do you want to lead the country for the next 4 years?
Okay.
Claude or Justin?
There we go. That's it. Now, send in your responses, and we'll talk about them amongst ourselves.
Or the dream ticket, Claude and Justin.
Dream ticket. God.
Yeah.
That stupid phrase.
I hate that phrase. We should make a list of all the stupid political phrases.
Yeah. Things catch on, and they just won't die. I don't know what to do about that. Anyway, if there are any of you who are like still into television, if you haven't sort of thrown your television out the window in some kind of panic, you might want to watch a little show called Mad Men. I can recommend that. It's pretty good.
We'll be back with, I think, a less political podcast. That is to say, how about a TV podcast or whatever?
Yeah. There's
some stuff to watch. Shows are coming back on.
It's a good show that I've somewhat recently started watching, and so yeah, you can maybe check that out. We might talk about that at some point, so it's just a little, I don't know, something. If you're looking for something to watch, you can go for that.
Mad Men is A+.
Yeah, it's interesting, and I guess there's other stuff, but that's the primary show I'm following right now. So, it's a new one for me. So I just thought I'd bring it up.
Well, I hope. I just want to say, I know politics can be a touchy issue, and hopefully we didn't, offend anyone or anything bad anyone.
Yeah. I mean, there's no way to talk about the issue, I think, reasonably without, to a certain extent, revealing your point of view. And I didn't really want to do that for a while, but I think now, what's the big deal? Who cares?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, generally speaking, I don't have an issue with anyone that's running. Or anyone who supports either, obviously I'm a Obama supporter, but, anyone who supports McCain, is not a bad person, obviously. I just want to hope that people look at the issues, which to me is what matters and is what's really going to affect people. And hey, if you look at the issues and you say John McCain is my guy, I'm like, hey, that's exactly what, that's what we're supposed to be doing here. I think you're wrong, but no, I'm kidding. That's my only thing is I hope people are, looking at what counts for both sides. That goes for both sides, definitely.
Wow, wrapping up on a very thoughtful and even inspirational note. Wow.
Well, that's the thing. It's we have a great country, this land of ours, and it's ours to rise to the mountaintops or to have sink to the depths of our great oceans. And on this land that was built upon by the freedoms and justices of all of the liberties that we all share, and with Putin raising his ugly head, rearing his ugly head, in the 21st century, I really feel like for all of us that our collective, liberties, that we really got to make sure that when we're thinking about the issues, that what's really important is with the war in Iraq and all of the things with the economy and the big bailout, and we're thinking, yeah, don't do that. No, do that. And it's really, what's really going to matter when you look at, because for all the kids that are in the country and they're thinking, what should we be doing? And you look, our allies across the country and in the world. And, okay, I'm done.
Wow. I would like to just stew in that for a moment or two. That was way more than I was expecting from that offhand comment. And I started to wonder, how long can he go with this? Could he take this another 5 or 10 minutes? Is this about to be like?
I am a man who is susceptible to challenges. I will say that much. But I felt the need to stop. But that was my my sentence to nowhere.
You definitely have a future in nonsense public speaking.
That was actually part. I have to give credit where credit. That was part a Palin thing, but also part an SNL thing.
Putin rearing his ugly head.
Yeah,
which I think is a great
phrase. I love that line. It's great. I love that she says
ugly head. I love that.
Rearing his ugly head. What's his name? Fred Armisen on SNL does this character called Nicholas Fane, which if you haven't seen it, you should Google it or Yahoo it. It's a pretty funny little bit he does on Weekend Update where he plays this fictional political commentator where he just kind of rips headlines from the news and talks about them, but basically it's that exact same thing. He does it 100 times better than I did. But it's basically that same thing of really not saying anything, but using these kind of catchphrases, and he'll just he'll look at the paper and goes, government passes $700 billion bailout. I mean, look at that. Can you believe this, people? See, in a world where when we have, for our children's sake, we have to really look at the issues from and then I tell my friends okay, look, stop and think about this. What are you gonna do when you're out there and you're thinking to your neighbor and you're talking to your neighbor, but what are you gonna do? Because he just jumps from thing to thing and nothing connects, and it's just really funny.
Yeah.
And you don't end up saying anything.
I think I've seen that character.
You probably have.
I have a memory of something like that from a while ago. Yeah. That sounds familiar.
Yeah, it's really funny, and I did a bad impression. But
I see. Well, I was impressed anyway.
Then I did a good impression.
I didn't remember the character, so that helped. But nonetheless, yeah. Very enjoyable.
Thank you.
Nothing better than just reveling in nonsense for a little while.
Yeah.
all this other stuff is just very.
It proves that you can talk and really not say anything.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, Palin's really good at that. I have to admit, like when you listen to her, she says these things that they have the semblances of meaningful statements, but they're put together they aren't.
Right. Yeah. If you could just maybe read them or something, it just doesn't sound like anything. But somehow it comes across as, you know, as presented, you know, that there's something being said. Yeah, she's good at that.
Well, so I hope people, you know, make a informed choice on November 4th, and may the best Obama win.
Especially if you're in a battleground state.
Yeah, battleground states.
So watch out for those battleground states.
Because there's a lot of war going on there, right?
Yeah, that's what.
Isn't Georgia a battleground state because Russia just tried to invade it, right?
Something like that, right? Yeah.
I think that's what I read on. What am I saying? I don't read. Ha 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 ha.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And if you're not in a battleground state, I guess you should vote anyway. But I don't care if you do or not.
I think you should vote, no matter who you're voting for, especially if you're voting for Obama, you should vote, especially if you're in a red state or a battleground state. You know, but that's the thing. You know, he's all of these you know, it's just all the data I've seen projecting, you know, the electoral votes, you know, based on polls show Obama winning by a pretty big margin. And you know, there's only a couple more weeks left, and I'm what's the phrase? Like cautiously optimistic.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting. I just have to really say, you know, be glad that the McCain campaign was run so poorly.
Yeah.
I mean, it just
campaign-wise, I think he's done much worse than Bush. Yeah,
I mean, it was like every single thing was just like a snafu and just like a problem, and like it was really, really poorly run, and like, I mean, you know, since I'm not voting for him, I'm happy about that.
Yeah, right.
You know.
Yeah, his supporters are probably not happy about that.
No, probably not.
I would assume. But yeah, there's that. I don't know. I'm irritatingly ambivalent about. I mean, I think people should vote, but I struggle with the voter fallacy or whatever the word for it is.
What do you mean?
It just, you know, the thing that bothers me is just, you know, the thing everybody says. I mean, I think if you look at every election that's ever happened, certainly in this country, there's never been a case where, you know, if one person didn't vote, the outcome would have changed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you know, so at least on an individual level, if you and only you know, change your behavior and don't vote, that will not affect the election.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I don't know. That just gets to me. The problem with it is, you know, if enough people think that, then the election can be changed.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But nonetheless, the individual level version of it, you know, where no one else sort of thinks of it or you know, acts in that way, I think, you know, would be true. And it just feels, I don't know, it just feels frustrating that your vote isn't going to impact the election, really.
Yeah, it's no one person votes counts, but everyone's one vote counts.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing. You know, it's putting a penny in a very, 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 very big jar.
Yeah.
And you know, if you just put your 1 penny in there, or I guess I should say, if everyone puts their penny in there but you, no one's going to be able to tell.
Right. Yeah. 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 So
but
I mean, that's but you know, if you must know, I do think that you should vote anyway. I guess I will, but nonetheless, that
you should definitely vote.
Yeah. No, you're right. I'm in a battleground state.
I mean, yeah, you're in a disputed state. I mean, even if your state is going to most likely go a certain way, I think you still should vote.
Although I'm not in a battleground district, I have to say. I'm based on the signs I've seen around town, it's going to be a landslide here.
So why didn't you move to another district so your vote would matter more?
Yeah, see,
now I'm confused. Why didn't you do that?
That's what I should have done. You're right. If where I lived was, you know, if I could just live somewhere on that basis, that's what I should do.
You should have done that anyway.
Well, it would be fantastically inconvenient to live somewhere else just
Well,
to
it'll
vote.
also be fantastically inconvenient if McCain is president. So
it's all about me somehow. I guess I'm putting my interests above the country's interests.
Well, then, my friend, you are a true American.
Apparently.
And on that note,
why not? Yeah. All right. Sounds good.
We'll catch you guys later.
Cool. Bye.
Bye.